And we should be live now. There we go. Just double checking everything's alright. It should be. Good. I think. Yes, hello. Yes, yeah, everything should be alright. And we are going to be playing some of the lesser showcased cruisers, 5-3. Starting off with the Russians in the Krasny Krim. Yeah, I know about that. Problem is, what do I grind with? What do I use it on? Should probably use it on something, but on what? Because if I want to play 5-3, I don't have anything useful to use it on. I'm going to be swapping between all the countries, just staying around 5-0, 5-3. I think I'll just let that booster expire, to be honest. Because there's generally nothing I have to research at this BR. I could do the Leipzig first, get a little bit closer to Spain. Yeah, that's what we'll do. So, playing some German Navy first. Just going through the ranks. Just going through the nations. That was a quick match. On a pretty good map, if we don't get up there, that is. So yeah. The Leipzig, what is special about the Leipzig? Nothing much, really. Where is the vulnerable ammo on this ship again? Seems that the rear ammo is above the waterline. So yeah. Also, the reload rate on this ship isn't that good, is it? Does it actually tell you in the stat card? It doesn't. Because among the German light cruisers, the Nuremberg is the one of the really good reload. The Leipzig is just the first one of its type you can get. Not exactly the best either. But the guns are still pretty alright. It seems being sustainable. For some reason the frame rate is just tanking like crazy on this map. It's a bit loud. Down to something like that. There we go. We have a lot of cruisers over there, but they seem to be all low BR ones. Well, that seems like a Helena. And what I prefer to do, if you're playing a cruiser that isn't all that good, is to just avoid fighting other cruisers. Although on this map you don't usually have much choice. But as long as I don't get engaged by the enemy cruisers, I'm not going to engage them. Because that's just be drawing their attention, which I do not want. So instead I'm going to fire upon all of these destroyers. That one's going to be behind cover. I think that's another Moffat. Yeah, looks like on. A 9-second reload is not bad for a light cruiser. But yeah, the Nuremberg, I believe, does have a better reload still. And I'm getting really unlucky with my hits on these Moffats. Although that's looking good. Bit high. And I have lost an engine. I'm flooding rapidly. It's a Polar by the looks of it. I should be fine for the time being. I haven't lost that much crew. I'm not sure about the armor on the Köln, because he's pretty vulnerable still. But the Köln does have torpedoes, which I realized that the Leipzig doesn't. I'm being really unlucky with my hits on the Moffats. Let's just thread their engines a bit. Now, which of these cruisers is actually shooting at me? I think both the Polar and that Helena. The zombies. Don't feel too threatened by that. Let's try another sniper destroyer. Which is not looking bad. And there we go. Okay, I am starting to receive heavier and heavier fire from these cruisers. So what I'm going to do... I have the choice of either turning in or turning out. But we have a lot of people already at the ABR, so I don't really need to turn in. I'm just gonna turn out and keep my guns on target and start firing at this Brooklyn/Helena. Fires fine. The flooding, however, is not fine. There seems to be quite a trend of these German ships that they flood really quickly. Another option is to completely turn away and deploy smoke screen. I need to get repairs underway. So let's smoke up, hope that they lose their lock on me. And we'll go away again. They have lost their lock on me by the looks of it. Which is good. But that guy is definitely a threat. Yeah, I'll, I think the Köln also has torpedoes, right? But I'm just not making that up. An Atlanta in the rear, which is probably the last 5-3 I'm going to be playing today. Because the other reason I wanted to play 5-3 is because it's just a BR that's filled with kind of mediocre ships. Ships nobody really talks about, other than of course the Atlanta, which is probably the most famous 5.3 in this game. And for good reasons. It is a Polar, I think. It seems quite heavily damaged. It might be worthwhile shooting at him. Oh, never mind. It's already sunk. Ah, only Nuremberg has a torps, okay. And it is just the armor. It's the reason for Köln being that high in BR. Atlantas are such annoying ships to try and deal with. Especially if you don't hit them straight. There's also a Arathus over... I have the tendency to ignore the quote-unquote weaker cruisers. But if they're going to shoot at me, I just have to shoot back, don't I? Also, that seems to be a Leander if he's firing... Yeah. Probably the Leander. There's one turret. He's now reversing because he's realized he's being fired upon. That's what I'll do for now. And we keep going forward. A is for ooh, aircraft. Only 217, but he's not clearly not going for us, so let's just ignore it. I am going to try and get to the A point though. I don't know what happened to the cluster of ships we had over here, but them just disappearing is not a good sign. Do we have a squadron M team? We don't. But that Helena and Atlanta combo is quite dangerous. The other thing that makes the Atlanta a really good ship, other than just the excessive amount of firepower it has, is it's surprisingly tough, just because the actual hull is really small and a very tiny target to hit, compared to most other cruisers. I think it's not a bad idea to high explosive spam in Atlanta, because turrets are usually thin enough to actually knock out with most high explosive shells. As well as just ready racks, I think you might be able to detonate high explosive. Let's try and do something about the Atlanta. Also, this is probably not the best ship to try and deal with one. No one's really in the position to deal with it either. Let's just keep pushing towards A. I should actually be aiming higher, because I'm sailing away from the Atlanta, I think. That's not the Atlanta, where is it? There it is. Yep, I should be aiming high.
Victory is close.
Oop. Ah, hit that guy, okay. Seems like Phoenix is gonna try and capture A, that's good. Let's switch back to the AB shells and see what's going on closer to us. I have lost my torpedo protection by the looks of it on the left hand side. Do need to be wary of that. Kavkaz also shot down Phoenix. So is he still? He is still capping. Okay then. Just be ready to turn in case necessary, but doesn't seem like it. Good. And we just keep on going. That is the Leander. We were shooting it earlier. Not really the best angle for me to shoot at. But it's the only target I can see at the moment. Let's get vision or line of sight. Curious what happened to their cruiser fleet. That Leander is gonna sink really soon. That's no longer a threat. Hopefully I can get an assist for it. There we go. It was an air suicide. I could have sworn I saw 8 guns being fired at me though. Might have been a secondary gun. That is the Atlanta, but bow on is a difficult target for me to deal with. Although it is worth a shot actually. There is a German light cruiser. But let's see if we can do something to the Atlanta. Or we have to deal with the Cadiz in front of us. Reminder that the British destroyers have very vulnerable ammo racks, especially in the front, and this destroyer only has ammo racks in the front. Of course I do still have to hit them. Which I am miserably failing at. And somebody else dealt with him for me. Now, the torpedo angles on the battle classes are pretty restrictive, so I don't think you launch torpedoes at me. But I'll just stay stationary. And slowly whittle down his Atlanta. Or try to. It was an alright hit, but I'd really like to knock out those turrets. Maybe detonate a few of them.
Just a little more effort, and victory will surely be ours.
Is that Chapayev just reversing? It is something. It also seems that this Atlanta is getting hammered by another cruiser somewhere off to the left. Which is good for us. Something is trying to shoot at me. Seems to be Chapayev. There goes the Atlanta. Spokojny. Let's actually keep moving, but the match is going to be over before anything really happens. And there we go. What did I kill? Ah, Moffat, that's right, I detonated a Moffat early in this match. Yep, I hear that. But yeah, match over. Pretty boring match, really. Mainly because the enemy cruisers kind of didn't push in, and the enemy destroyers were mostly just Moffat bots, so they just detonated and left. Okay. So what was the actual award? There we go. Not too shabby. And that is Leipzig. Pretty solid light cruiser. And as somebody was saying, the armor is probably the main difference. 45mm main armor belt. Hold on. A 20mm. Would you call it a turtleback? Kind of, I guess. Yes, 25, 50. And some plating behind it. Compared to the Köln, which has the same thickness armor belt. And I think it's just similar protection, has a turtleback from the looks of it. Although I might be missing something. But then the Köln does have torpedoes. And then we have Nuremberg. which also has torpedoes and a higher rate of fire. But yeah, Leipzig is actually a very good light cruiser. It's just basically the same as these two, just misses torpedoes. And slightly slower rate of fire than the Nuremberg. Then we go to the Russians, and their 5-3 is Krasny, which I could have sworn used to be a 5-0. Why it's now a 5-3 I don't quite know, but I will. Let's play it and find out. Actually, for some reason, I have the TF loaded as the main shells, which is not something I should do. Yeah, the Krasny is notoriously difficult to sink, but only if it's one of the actual bots. I found out that usually when there's a player at the helm, they'll repair the turrets pretty quickly and you can just keep knocking those out. It kind of, I think it has a similar thing as the Helena, where the engines are really difficult to knock out on the Krasny. And the engines hold a large amount of crew, a larger percentage of crew. So that might be the reason. I want anti-air shells on these secondaries. And we go to somewhere. Zapayevs, we could appear it again. To what looks a bit 5-7. Let's actually take a closer look at the survivability. So the armor plates are there. The main magazine right there looks... I can't actually tell because of the armor plate X-ray. That might be just at the waterline. Yes, I think the engines are all below the waterline, and that's what makes them difficult to knock out. Yeah. The tactic for sinking crims is just HE spamming them until they give up. Secondaries on both targets, but that's fine. I'm gonna head towards A. Let's wait for the rangefinder to act on the Moffat, and let's try and detonate him. There we go. It's turning in slightly. That might be a bit too far behind. No, that should be good. A bit too... Oh, almost. Almost. Capturing B, but that's to be expected. I'm landing close, a bit too far forward. Yeah, now it's slowing down because of engine damage. Still aiming a bit high by the looks of it. And that Moffat is not having a good day. It's too low. That's my crew saying. Targets front, let's switch targets. That Moffat got sunk. That is a player Moffat. Looking at how the guns fire. That's too much lead. That might be too little lead, but he's turning in, which is actually moving his rear out of the way. But you can turn in all you want in a destroyer. Most cruisers can overpan you anyways. That is if you can get solid hits in, which my gunnery is just not allowing. I'm gonna swing the ship around to get more gunners on the action. Because a player-controlled Moffat is still a very dangerous ship. So we have to deal with it as quickly as possible. That's all my damage, but I need to hit the engines now. Seems I've gone through the ready racks on the first few guns too. That is overturning. So I should be able to get some hits in on the engines. There we go. And there we go. Phoenix finished it off for me. Now to get on the move again. What are these torpedoes like? That's good fast torpedoes, good for some brawling. Secondaries are shooting at something over there. I'll switch my secondaries off because I don't want them pissing off other cruisers. What is that? That's a cruise. That's the Italian cruiser we saw in the battle, didn't we? Yeah, this one, the Bartolomeo. That's a cruiser I'm probably going to play instead of the Italian 5-3. Because that's not a good cruiser. That is a destroyer. Going pretty slow by the looks of it, but just aim over here. Yeah. I think it's even slowing down. Go. One negative of the Krasny is just a poor top speed. Although I might... I have to double check if I actually have all the modifications equipped on this ship. I should have. The one thing I will say about 5-3 is that the matchmaking at 5-3 is usually pretty forgiving. Like, you usually see more 5-7 matches and destroyer matches at 5-3 than you do 6-0 matches. In my own experience, at least. There's something over there. Destroyer. There was a destroyer over there. Yeah, 6-0 does get pulled up into the battleship matches more often. So if you have people playing battleships, they usually get all the 6-0s in their matches. Whilst at 5-3 you tend to see more of the Moffats and the other destroyers. Which does make it a pretty alright BR to sit at. But you can still get up there to 6-3 and 6-0 in these ships. And then it isn't quite as pleasant. The Leone, oof. That makes sense for the guy. If he's running a 5-0 lineup with the Colleone, all he has is just 4-7s. The Leone is not a good backup. Is that the worst destroyer out there, really? Leone is... It's not a good ship, but it's also not that terrible. Is Leone still 4-7? Or did she get moved to 4-3? I don't remember. Yeah, there go all the engines. One more salvo should finish it off. There we go. A Sumner, now those are a bit more difficult to kill. Well, you can't one-shot a Sumner, but you can just spread the engines, knock out the turrets, do all that kind of stuff to it. That looks like a Japanese destroyer. That is a Hatsuharu, I think. No, that is a Russian destroyer. I saw the rear turret and I thought it was Japanese. Well, a Tashkent it is. What are we being engaged by? Nothing by the looks of it. That destroyer should now sink, Sumner's down. Let's just finish off the Tashkent. Ooh, didn't get a kill. Phoenix probably gonna nab it. There he goes. That was just an AI. Never mind then. Light cruisers. What else do we have? Heavy cruiser. Okay. That is a Italian light cruiser. Just need to get past these rocks to get into B. Did we actually ever sink the coastal vessel that was responsible for capturing B? I'm not sure. Oh well, we'll find out. Let's just stay on this course. And let's start shooting at this Italian. Full broadside. I am going to put my gunners on all targets in case there's a coastal vessel just rolling around. I do not like getting caught surprised by a coastal vessel. Feels like Phoenix is going to decapture B, that is fine. Again, I'm not really researching anything, so I don't care about what I actually do in the match. Just that I'm able to showcase these 5-3 cruisers. There goes the turret. Oh, yes, thank you for the call out, Phoenix. Come on. There we go. Torpedoes in the water, where are they? There they are. I'm going to eat that one. Let's try. No, I'm going to eat that one straight on. Yep. I think there's a magazine there, is it there? But I do have a backup. Yeah, I shouldn't actually have spawned this backup because it's a very slow cruiser. So in the later stages of the match you want something quicker. Just get back into the battle again. But oh well. What is going on over there? We have a Kirov, a Kalashnikov and an Omaha. So let's shoot at the Omaha. Omaha is already sinking. Yep, it's sinking rapidly. Can I deal with Kalashnikov? Well, I guess we'll find out. I'll put my gunners on air targets again, because I don't think I'm in threat of getting surprised by a coastal vessel. And I don't want the unnecessary attention of some cruisers. Yeah, I don't think these guns are good enough at dealing with Kalashnikov. What about the Kirov class over there? Already seems to be struggling quite a bit. So let's just make his problems worse, I guess. He's on 13% crew by the looks of it. That's too much lead.
Есть накрытие. Есть накрытие. Есть накрытие.
11% crew is critically damaged. Let's see if we can maybe hit a turret to knock out the last few percent needed to sink him. There we go. He's getting down now. Enemy's capturing B.
Впереди! Дистанция 8000!
Есть накрытие.
Руль право на борту.
Kirov should be sinking.
Цель. Легкий крейсер.
Yeah, he's sinking.
360. Дистанция 8000.
Go.
Руль прямо.
Есть накрытие.
And we'll slowly but surely make our way over to sea. Maybe. Could I maybe lock onto whatever's on B? Doesn't look like it.
Легкий крейсер. Слева. Дистанция 7000.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
There's no enemy aircraft up either.
Цель. Легкий крейсер. Беринг.
Light cruiser, but he's just got sunk, I think. Yep.
Есть накрытие.
What do we have there? A Kavkaz or another Krim?
Есть накрытие. Лево руля. Есть накрытие.
This is not a battle. This is not a battleship. This is just a cruiser. And so is that target over there.
Накрытие.
I can face battleships theoretically, but it's very unlikely. Matchmaking for 5-3 just doesn't get pulled up to that speed often. That is a
Есть попадание.
Krim, just like I am. And yeah, here we see the problem with, I think it's an AI one. No, it isn't.
Есть накрытие.
But if people do not repair their main guns on the Krim, they just become bullet sponges.
Есть
Well, this one seems to have been severely damaged. Captured C, that is less optimal. And that one got detonated.
Есть попадание. Есть накрытие.
Руль право.
Let's see.
Накрытие.
Yeah. The Krim is definitely a ship you first spawn, but you probably wanted to take the Kavkaz or the Spokojny as second spawn, because the Krim is just too slow. I've barely traveled 2 squares out from away from my spawn since I got sunk.
Право руля.
Also don't have any recon planes or the like, so I can't
Катер.
try and capture a point that way.
Дистанция 3000.
I think Phoenix is moving his scout plane over to B in an attempt to decap it. I'm locked into a light cruiser, but where? Yeah, I thought as much. The guy that sunk me in his PT boat has just come back in a PT boat and kept the point again. And I think this might be a defeat. I don't think I can get into the capture point in time. Ooh, there was an Aolba around. Okay. Doesn't seem like my teammates are planning to move into the cap either, because those two,
The enemy is winning.
yeah.
Got to counterattack.
Цель. Легкий крейсер. Беринг. 40.
Any idea? Yes, the Italian battleship that was in the file, the Caio Giulio or something like that. No clue whether it'll come this update or not. Absolutely no clue. We suspect it will, but we can't tell for certain. Something to keep in the back of your mind is that the April Fool's event is pretty soon, and there's also usually a crafting event around 1st of April, So we might see a battleship as a crafting event reward again. Which would be really lame if that's the case for the Giulio battleship, because Italy really just needs another tech-free battleship. But we have no clue whether that's... We have no clue what's gonna happen to that battleship.
Есть накрытие.
I hope it just gets introduced to the tech-free.
Есть накрытие.
How did it... We have a Yugam on our team? Okay. You might have hit a torpedo on the Furutaka. Admit that. But yep. The Krim is too slow to get into sea on time. Though we have somebody over at B. Hopefully capping it. At least decapping it. Chelashnikov is still afloat, I think. Or did it just get sunk? Yeah, that one just got sunk, okay. Can we decapture B? That's gonna be a rough landing, I think, Phoenix. It's gonna be a very rough landing.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
Because it's a very tiny capture point, you'll need a good run at it. All you need to do is just decap it, there you go. Good stuff.
Лево руля.
Руль лево.
Because with it decapped, I do have more than enough time to get into it to just cap it. Rather friendly has decaptured B.
Дистанция
Bijna Moffat.
7000.
Цель. Легкий крейсер. Верен. 300.
This guy just got wrecked in his spawn twice, jeez. But yeah, their team's gone. So this is going to be a victory thanks to the decapping efforts of Phoenix and the Moffat.
Есть накрытие.
Another zone captured. We have the advantage.
That does remind me, there is quite a high likelihood that the update will actually be next week. Yeah, actually, because we actually had human Moffats. Could you imagine the shock that we actually had destroyer players in, players? Yeah. Also, Phoenix is a as you can see, he's from my squadron. He tends to every now and then just join me in my streams. And that was a victory, a very close one, but it's still a victory. But yeah, as I was saying, there's a high likelihood that we'll see the update next week.
Чаю. На глав...
I'm not sure if that's actually going to happen or not. If it does happen next week, I am going to do a first day live stream again. And what I'm most likely going to do is just play the two French ships. But that was a good battle showcasing the Krim, I think. With its strength and weaknesses. Another thing that I want to show about these 5-3 lineups, quote unquote, is that 5-3 in most tech trees doesn't have a lineup. With tech trees either just having one or two ships. Like Germany also just has one 5-3 ship. And the problem that can bring is that the other ships, just one BR point lower, aren't really all up to scratch. Like, the Leipzig is way better than the Emden. Way better as a light cruiser. So much so that you can just bring the Leipzig in a lineup with the Köln and Nuremberg and that's perfectly fine. But you can't really take an Emden in a lineup with the Leipzig if you want to just play 5-3. The Russians kind of have a similar problem, where sure Kavkaz and Spokojny are strong enough vessels, but you might as well just place Kavkaz and Spokojny at 5-0 themselves for a better matchmaking. And just as a backup, like a Tashkent as backup, or if you have Blagorodny. Whilst the Krim, you're forced to have those two ships as backups. Luckily enough, they're not bad backups. Then the next one we're going to look at is probably one of my favorites and at the same time least favorites. Japan. With the Agano. Because the problem Japan has is that it just does not have good backups for 5-3. Oh, right, of course. Russia has a 5-3 premium cruiser, the Kerch, which is indeed a good backup, a good vehicle for it, because it is just a 5-7 Italian ship, but a 5-3. For God knows what reason. But yeah, I was going to say, Japan 5-3 with the Agano. The problem the Agano has is that Agano on its own isn't really that bad of a ship. It just has no lineup around it. Like the Sendai and the Kuma are next to useless because of what I've done with the 140mm SAP rounds. The Kako, you could say, is probably good enough. It's like, it's the bare minimum for a decent enough backup. Shimakaze you could also use if you're a fan of torpedo spamming. But there's nothing conventional, so to say, that can back up the Agano. Not to say that the 5-0 lineup is any good for Japan anyways, but oh well. Let's actually play the Agano. Like, the Agano is probably not... The thing is, if you were to use the Agano as a backup to the 5-7 lineup, it's technically not a bad idea. But the Agano really is a ship that's only good at her own BR. It doesn't really do well in up tiers. Yeah, the Kako has relatively fast firing guns for a cruiser, for a heavy cruiser, but they're just not good guns. There is, unironically, a ship that would actually be a pretty good 5-3 together with the Agano, in my opinion at least, and that's the Oyodo. A Japanese cruiser with just like 2 of the triple 155 turrets you see on the Suzuki and Mikuma at the front, and that's it. And that could be a very good 5-3 or 5... No, I think 5-3 cruiser. That's a backup for the Agano. But of course we don't have it yet. And it's this map again. We have torpedoes, we have float planes. What I plan to do is... turn out a bit. And I'm going to just fire a salvo of torpedoes at the enemy cruiser spawn. In the hopes of catching something. Other than that, yeah, we'll see what we can do with these guns. So already destroyers spotted, several destroyers spotted. I don't see a Moffat among them though, but I do see that. That's a Spokojny, a Gearing, a Haida. Oh, you don't see many of those around. You really, that's I think a Smelly or also a Spokojny class. I don't know. Let's just fire the guns. Now, cruiser spawn. I'm going to launch a spread around there, I think. A bit more forward. And away goes the first torpedo spread. One thing to note is that the torpedo launch angles on the Agano are really narrow. So that's the forward firing arc. Hold on, like that. It's pretty much the same on both of them. And the rearward firing arc is... that's just the limit of that launcher, and that's the limit of that launcher. Yeah, a very narrow launch spread for the Agano, but I did mention that in the review of the ship. Where are all the other cruisers? I don't see any enemy cruisers, and I don't see any friendly ones yet either. Also, this guy picking a fight with a cruiser is pretty bold. Let's return the favor. The reload of the Agano is also pretty decent with the ready rack. It's just it's a very small ready rack, and then after that is expanded, the reloads does become quite long. So I need to actually aim... oh no, I hit him. Because I think our closing rate is just 0. Because he's going towards me and I'm sailing away from him. Also, this lighting makes it really difficult for me to see my shells. I see an enemy cruiser spawn. I think. Yes. Actually, that's just another destroyer. And I'm gonna start closing the distance to the German destroyer. Alright, I'm wrecking one of the salvos in the air. I do not mind. One of the A guns got knocked out, let's just prepare it. Ouch, fire. Let's stop the bears.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
That's something I really have to take a closer look at too, is there's a cruise skill, right? That if you run multiple repair functions at the same time, the penalty towards the other one should be lessened. I don't know how the cruise skill works, because I have max level crews for my Japanese ships, and they're all experted as well. But you clearly saw like the fire extinction go from 22 seconds to 9 seconds if I cancelled my repair. Which I don't think should be right with the values they say it should have. Also, and again, another destroyer picking a fight on a cruiser. Something I highly do not recommend you do in a destroyer. Big fights of cruisers. Especially when you just have a destroyer running right in front of you. Come on, hit the second. He got torpedoed by the guy that just ran in front of him, because of course he did. That was a weird Tashkent player. One who didn't really have his eye on the ball. Let's just not destroy again. But now I need to try and get into cover. Because the Agano can hold its own against destroyers, but I'd rather not take fire from multiple of them. As the Agano is still kind of thin-skinned. Should be fine from that guy. Got a bridge on that guy. I get the feeling the angled pen, let's actually take a look. Not all that good, especially at extreme angles here. Up by a mile. And as you can see, my ready rack is empty, so now I have an 11-second reload. Compared to the 6 I have with the ready rack. Come. Yeah, pretty much. I do have a soft spot for the Agano. I do quite like it as a cruiser. It just... yeah, it just doesn't have a lineup. It doesn't have anything supporting it, really. Come on. They've also just done something to Japanese sap shells, which just made them worse. Especially in the Japanese 140 mils. Come on. That should be a kill. I am going to have to start turning just in case he wants torpedoes. Let's drop by the hill. Let's just reload the ready rack for a second. And just keep on going. I still have a full torpedo armament at the ready. And I still have my recon plane, which I might actually park myself behind this island and send the recon plane to sea. Or I can already do it as soon as the thing is repaired. Let's slow the ship down a bit. Go. And let's launch the plane. When I'm not pointing the catapult directly into the ocean. There we go. Luckily the E-13 is a really good, well, a really fast recon plane, and that's a destroyer with lots of anti-air. Oh boy. I might actually have to get back to the Agano to deal with this. Let's see. They're not in line of sight for the Agano. The thing is, the Agano doesn't have decent torpedo angles. It just doesn't. It's a very narrow torpedo launch angle. Oop. Well, that wasn't the plan. Oh well. So be it. I don't think I would have been able to actually capture the zone anyways, and why is my anti-air off? Thank you. Let's just focus on the Dutch guns. I really don't fly my recon planes enough to know how to use them properly. Hyde is a really rare ship to see nowadays. Let's see it again.
Attention to the designated grid zone.
I hear the 25s opening fire, which is something I should be concerned about. It's a fireball over there, doesn't matter. This Tashkent is done for. Like, the Agano is a really solid light cruiser, especially in this matchmaking. If you have your ready rack filled, that is. Also, is that... No, my reserve plane is destroyed. Speaking of, there we have it, a cruiser. Let's launch torpedo volley that direction. There's a weird angle for that ship to travel. So I'm going to ignore the torpedo lead indicator and maybe just launch a wider spread. There we go. I'm going to keep the rear launcher in reserve just in case I decide to rush some destroyers. What do we have there? A K2. Okay. Ooh, what is that fast mover? The Tucci. One of the more recent Russian destroyers. And the first thing you do with ships that move very fast is try and destroy their engines. To slow them down a bit. And of course the engines hold a lot of crew, so that's usually things to destroy as well. And I'm out of red rack ammo. Ooh, that's good. I think that Letucci should be sinking. But I'm gonna try and finish it off anyways. We've got a lot of people just sitting here for some reason. Kind of odd to see a Fletcher placed so defensively. I guess that will work. Fletchers aren't really that tanky. Very vulnerable rear ammo as well. Diana seems to be going for A. Maybe want to try and go for A. The cruiser still being fired upon. This is really lucky matchmaking on my part. As there's only one enemy cruiser, and I think it's a full 5-3 match. So this is probably the best matchmaking you'll ever see in an Agano. Which I am not going to complain about. The Diana, such a good ship. The British like 4-7 destroyer lineup is a really good lineup. The Diana in the two battles. We have a summoner over there. Yeah, the Fletcher's playing very defensively. Which is an odd sight to behold. That is a pretty much undamaged summoner. How did that happen? Is the Fletcher not firing sap? That could be why. I should actually not be too aggressive because I don't think my ready rack is fully loaded. So that's stuck in again. Friendlies are capturing A, so I don't have to worry about that. And the fire burned them out, okay.
Thank you very much.
戦闘機前方9000メートル
German 4-7 is a bit weird. Although they're... Again, I do have a video on the German destroyers in the work, but I'm just being... I've not been in an editing mood as of late. But I find the destroyers very weird for 4-7.
Soldier captured.
駆逐艦右舷3000
Because I kind of don't understand why ships in that lineup are 4-7. Okay. Let's try an ammo racket. There we go, that's one turret. Maybe the same to the rear. I need to get out of here ASAP. Something detonated, so let's go for engine shots. I got the Northampton with the torpedo, see? You do not have to rely on the torpedo indicator to get torpedo kills. You just need to know how to lay out the spread. The aircraft is going to be a problem. I got a mixture. What is it? It's a E-40. The thing is, I don't have enough crew to stand the hit. I'm waiting for the bomb to explode, but it does not seem to have happened. Okay. And yes, my torpedo sunk the Northampton. Also, a video I am definitely going to make is using torpedoes and how you have to think of them, or at least how I use torpedoes. Let's keep going forward. There's something around this corner. That's the K2. And now, if the K2 doesn't get bombed, it's a good time to use these weird torpedo launchers. Knock out the front gun, and we'll launch 1, 2, 3. I don't think I need any more. The K2 is pretty injured anyways. I think, yep, there we go. Other aircraft up. I do have anti-air shells, so let's actually use them. No, hull on cruisers, hull-mounted torps, get rid of them, because you will not. The ships with hull-mounted torpedo tubes, like the ones that just are 90 degrees off to the side, are A, explosive hazards, B, very difficult to use accurately, and C, usually not good torpedoes to begin with. I need to try and find an example of ships with them. Well, the most obvious example, of course, is the Kako. Problem is, with the Kako especially, it has torpedo tubes just sitting in the upper hull. There's no armor surrounding it. And they're just open holes with torpedoes in them. They're also not the greatest torpedoes, although these are usable. Although barely. Personally, 70 kph is just the for Hyuga. Same reason, really. It's just not really a good thing to do. But like if you look at Hyuga, especially in battleships, it just doesn't work. If you look at Hyuga, its torpedoes are slow, short-ranged, and don't carry a lot of explosive mass. Another thing you have to take into account is that a torpedo will do no damage if it cannot penetrate the armor of the area it hits. And something of note for the 143 kilos of TNT. Do we have a bomb with a similar payload? I think we do. Do 250s have a similar payload? Yes. Okay, a bit less, but if you look at maximum armor penetration, what would have a payload of that kind? Would a 500 kilo bomb have a... What's a payload of 500 kilo bomb? It's way higher, but yeah. Like, way higher explosive has a maximum penetration of 90 millimeters. So what you need to ask yourself is... That's 90, the other one was 80 something. So let's say that the torpedo on a Hyuga has 85 millimeters of penetration, right? Just to make it simple. Let's say you get into a brawling fight with another dreadnought for some reason. Satsu, for example, to make it easy. First of all, how deep are your torpedoes? Are they 4-meter torpedoes? Let's say they're 4-meter torpedoes and they hit this strip here. The torpedo just won't do any damage. If they hit here, still no damage because they only pen 85 millimeters. Especially with the coal bunker behind the armor piece. Like, you'd have to be really specific where you hit something, I think, with a torpedo like that to really do damage. Again, it's also something I'm going to discuss in if I ever get around to making the videos on torpedoes. But yeah. It's also the same reason why if you ever play the Japanese Akazuki, for example, with these really, really meaty torpedoes with 1,000 kilos of TNT, I think there's a German bomber somewhere. One of the 211s? With a really big bomb? No. Was it 264? I think it was 264. Yeah, with these bombs, 1,000 kilos of TNT. Same as that's one of the best torpedoes in game on the Akazuki. 151 millimeters of pen. That's it. So if you're like firing that really big torpedo at something, let's say you up-tier your Akazuki, because I have actually seen people talk about this on my Discord a while ago, and you fire it at a Kronstadt. The battle cruise you'll see if you fully up-tier your Akazuki. I'm not sure how deep 4 meters is, but if it hits the armored belt on the Kronstadt, it just will not pen it. It will do no damage. So that is something you have to keep in the back of your head when you're using torpedoes. When can it actually damage the target? But anyways, we were doing 5-3. Ironically, 5-3 for Italy is probably where their cruisers start being really good. But again, you run into a problem that you don't have a good backup if you want to play only 5-3. The Trento is a really good cruiser. Coglione is not. The Regolo is more almost a destroyer than a cruiser. Same with the Etna. It's really weird, but then this is the case where if you have Trento, you could use it in the same lineup as the 5-7s, because Trento does up-tier pretty well. And that's actually what I do, I think. Yeah, I use it in my lineup with the 5-7s. So let's play this. I would bring aircraft along as well, but I just don't have any good Italian aircraft for CAS. We'll just have to do it with the ships we have. There definitely are. I have a friend of mine who mainly plays Italy. The SM, was it 91 or 92? All the RE2001s, and I think one of the RE2005s are pretty decent CAS aircraft. I'll look into it again after this match, if I remember to. But yes, the Trento. This map is not one of my favorites, right off the bat. Because you're forced, if you spawn here, you're forced to go either A, into the gunfire of every single cruiser you see, or take the long route around towards C. I will say I am having really good matchmaking, which is not something to rely on. But it is also something I actually wanted to showcase with playing 5-3. The matchmaking for 5-3 can be really good. Really, really good. I mean, yeah, they're limited, but they're not bad. I think the SM-92 or 91 or 92, I don't know which plane it was again. But one of them has 2 individually dropped 500 kilo bombs, I think. Also, that's something we have to avoid. So let's try and get into cover ASAP. Because these are just Moffats spamming us, aren't they? Yeah, probably. We have one enemy, Leipzig. We'll just get out of here as fast as possible.
Controllo dei danni per riparazione delle parti. Svuotare gli
Again, the Italian torpedoes are not that bad. It's also one of the few, actually the only nation I can think of off the top of my head, where some of the torpedoes it's actually worth it to bring the torpedo mode modification. The only downside to the Italian torpedoes is their relatively low explosive filler. They're usually pretty quick and have a decent range. Airdrop torpedoes are just, you should never use airdrop torpedoes. The thing is, something I use for my personal torpedo doctrine, never count on one torpedo hitting. If you're only relying on one torpedo sinking an enemy, you'll never sink an enemy. I will say the Japanese torpedoes usually will, because they're pretty meaty torpedoes. But that's not something you should rely on, for one torpedo to sink a ship. Depending on the size of ship, I think a rule of thumb would be 2 torpedo hits for a destroyer, and 3 or more for a cruiser if you want to reliably sink it. Yeah, that is true. Arcade is very different. Although I think you can still apply the same general rules for how I use my torpedoes. But yeah, it is. Arcade is wildly different for torpedoes. Especially because 1, torpedoes are faster. 2, you actually get a torpedo warning at a good range. And the ship is much more maneuverable to, you know, avoid torpedo hits. Torpedo is a whole different ballpark in Arcade. And one I'm sadly not too familiar with.
Timone, virare tutto a babordo.
Tutto a babordo, sì signore.
It seems that we have Phoenix capturing sea again. Let's see if we can maybe harass this destroyer.
Colpo diretto.
Long reload, Mr. Trento. It's a reload I'm not quite used to, but this is what a normal heavy cruiser reload is.
Quasi colpito.
So I should just get used to it.
Ribordo.
Tutto a babordo, sì signore. Caccia torpediniere.
Tashkent destroyed Phoenix before it captured the zone.
Timone.
It's kind of oof.
Timone a mezza nave, sì signore.
I'll just keep going.
Timone a tribordo.
Sì signore. Virare a tribordo.
That is an actual Moffat.
Babordo.
Sì signore. Virare a babordo.
Can we one-shot it?
Caccia
It's aiming a
torpediniere.
bit low, I think.
180.
That's too far forward. I'm just hitting its engines. Oh, actually, yeah, that's too far forward.
6.000 metri.
Still sunk it though.
Allied forces have captured a
Still sunk it.
Bersaglio distrutto. Il nemico si inclina.
Let's fire a shell at this Leipzig again. Yeah. But yeah, again, Arcade is a completely different beast when it comes to that kind of stuff. And I'm personally not the greatest fan of Arcade. Just for several reasons, really. Yeah. You see a lot of people just not really understanding how torpedoes work. And although, as with many things, they change over time, so people like get used to them in a certain update or a certain time, and then it changes without them knowing it changed, and then they expect something which just doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, it's one of the things you have to take into account when playing naval.
The victory is near.
I tend to use, if I play Japan, I tend to use my torpedoes very liberally.
Bersaglio individuato.
Oh yeah. I'm actually personally of the opinion that the EC is better in the arcade version.
4000 metri.
Timone a tribord.
Because you get torpedo warnings.
Signore, girare a tribord.
Which is something I
Timone
can really
a babordo.
appreciate.
Sì, signore, girare a babord.
That Moffat has overextended. Let's see if we can punish him.
Avanti.
Is it too far back? It is too far back. Damn. Do I have... no.
Quasi colpito.
Oh well, in 10 seconds we'll try again, but it seems he's rapidly flooding. Yep. There's also a destroyer up ahead, which seems like a Moffat. But I'm going to start turning in towards sea, because there's no point at just sailing around the edge of the map. This map is really strange with the fact that the airfields are really close to the combat area.
Incendio avvistato sulla nave nemica.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something I discovered about arcade as well, is that strategic bomber cast is really dangerous in arcade. Because if they just fly above 5 kilometers above the range of anti-aircraft, and the fact that they reload really big bombs, it's just... nope. Not a good combination.
Quasi colpito.
And that is not going to be helped by the Lancasters getting that new bomb. Although I am kind of curious to see how that will work.
Quasi colpito.
Yeah, I remember playing arcade like a few months back now. Yeah, this is literally just a PE-8 flying out, you're just nuking a cruiser every minute. And that is really not fun to deal with.
Timone a tribordo.
That's Tashkent, but what is the other guy that was so cheeky to shoot me? I don't have the... I didn't have the Shallows to shoot at the other guy.
Incendio avvistato sulla nave.
We hold all of the zones, because they're just playing around the edge of the map. Moffat right there.
Caccia torpediniere. A babordo. 4000 metri.
Apparently they have. Cringe, I think people I know were talking about the fact that that cap is being changed. I'd have to look that image up again. But I might ping you if I see the image again. Because I know that you're on the Discord as well. I'll ping you when I see the image. Goodbye. Yeah, that would be the easy answer, wouldn't it? Just limit the planes could bring to naval. Those Moffats are being very aggressive. We're shooting at a heavy cruiser.
Incrociatore leggero. Avanti. 6000 metri.
I think I'll turn away, or angle away. Go down.
Bersaglio individuato. Caccia torpediniere. Bussola.
The Sumner is annoying because I can't one-shot it, but I can
Motori.
damage it a lot by just firing a salvo into it. There we go. Yeah, they're just all there. Let's just try and angle the armor a bit. Let's shoot the front if we can. There we go. Even my gunners on all targets just... they can fire TF into them, I don't care. That is a Moffat showing its rear towards me, okay.
Motori avanti.
Let's see what we can do to that. We're slowing to a halt.
Controllo degli scompartimenti in fiamme.
Let's figure out the lead.
Motori. Arresto totale.
Hmm. This is not a courage. This is not one they added recently now. This is just the Trento, which has, I think, been part of Italy since it got introduced. Okay, this Moffat is pissing me off with how it's just showing its rear magazine to me. There we go.
Bersaglio individuato! Caccia torpediniere!
I'm getting shot in the front by the Leipzig. Out with Tashkent. And there we go, detonation. Yeah, the Trento, the only 5.3 in the Italian 3. Really solid heavy cruiser. But if you want to play this around BR, backup is the problem really. As I'll show you. Bartolomeo Colleone is probably the closest backup you have for it. And it is not a good cruiser. Yeah. The Italian is the Eugenio di Savoia 5.7. And indeed, for some reason, the Russian one is 5.3, even though it's the exact same ship. Or as far as I know, at least. So you might think, what is so bad about this boat? It's a light cruiser with 152mm guns. But yeah, what the problem is with Colleone is if you see a target... let's just fire it anyways. It has the reload of a heavier cruiser. It is just... For a 5.0, this is an extremely long reload. Although if you're used to Italian destroyers, it shouldn't be anything that shocks you really. At least it's pretty fast. But yeah, the reload on these guns is definitely the downside of them. Greatest downside. Yeah, the thing is, luckily the Trento is good enough to up tier with the 5.7s. It's just that the matchmaking between 5.3 and 5.7 is really... There's a great difference between the matchmaking. That's why I'm usually quite stubborn when I'm spading my ships, is I tend to only want to spade the ships whilst playing its own BR. Because like 1 point in BR difference in naval is a really big difference for matchmaking. Like currently, me playing 5.0 or 5.3 is a difference between me seeing battleships or not seeing battleships. As a possibility. The difference between playing 5.0 and 4.7 is being sucked up to Hellenas possibly, or not getting sucked up to Hellenas possibly. But yeah. Trento is a very solid 5.3. It's just that she doesn't really have any peers in the tech tree. But luckily solid enough to drag up to 5.7. Then we have our second to last lineup, I think. The British, which do actually have a very nicely filled out lineup. However, the ships... Yeah, no, I think Britain has a solid 5.3 lineup. It's just that 5.3 is... It's a weird VR for cruisers. Because 5.0, everybody knows 5.0 is the beginner tier... Well, actually it isn't anymore. But 5.0 is just beginner cruisers. You expect them to not be good ships. 5.7, on the other hand, is already the BR where you expect to see semi-competent cruisers. Or pretty good cruisers, even. So 5.3 is this weird middle ground, where you have ships that underperform, ships that kind of overperform for the BR. Called Atlanta. But it's just weird. But I think Britain has an alright one. Also, the playstyle of all these ships is just odd. Like, what do they have at 5.0? Britain at 5.0 has Enterprise, which is just, it's a beginner cruiser, you expect it to be bad, and it is bad. But then you have these cruisers. The Dido is a super destroyer, basically. That's how it plays. Yeah, I have no clue how this monstrosity that is the Atlanta is still a 5-3, genuinely. But anyways, we have Britain with the knockoff Atlanta being the Dido. Which, then you have the Leander, which is a proper light cruiser. You have Arethusa, which is kind of along the lines of the Agano, which is 6 guns total. And you have the Hawkins, which is a heavy cruiser, but also not a heavy cruiser. It's not a conventional heavy cruiser, because it has 7.5-inch guns and not 8-inch guns. But let's play it. So what I'm going to play is Dido, Hawkins, and then Arethusa, if I get to it. But I'll definitely first spawn the Dido. Because I believe the Dido used to be a 5.0 as well. But I'm not quite sure on that anymore. Fiji again. We are getting really good matchmaking though, these past few matches, we really are. And that is, as I said before, one of the benefits of wanting to just play 5-3. It gets good matchmaking. Like it's a really nice PR where you do have the cruisers that start to become capable vessels. Also, why do I have this exploded on 40 so well?
All hands to battle stations. Engines, flank speed.
Yeah. What is the matchmaking like, actually, before I say too much? Yeah.
Light cruiser. Ahead. 12,000.
It's why I find it a real shame that we don't have more 5.0 cruisers for some nations.
Harder starboard.
I'm not too familiar with what the Russians could possibly get, of course. But I know that the Japanese could definitely get something like the Oyodo for another 5-3. Germans, I don't really know too much about them.
Destroyer. Ahead. 9,000
I mean,
meters.
that's another thing, right?
Your helm.
Light and heavy cruisers is not a real, designation of ship. It is just something that was agreed upon in a treaty. It's just a cruiser. The only difference between a light and a heavy cruiser is the caliber of the guns. That's it. Do you remember the Dido being an all-white cruiser? However, do I not have AP shell? Ooh, I made a mistake. I did not carry any sap. I haven't played the Dido since I spaded it, and that's definitely more than a year ago. Maybe even 2. And back then, high explosive was more than enough. But yeah. Not having sap is going to hurt me this much. Do I actually have any backups? I do. I might actually just rush in and try and lose my Dido as quickly as possible. Also, why does he heal over so much in a turn? That is not something normal. What are the explosive mass differences? 2.9 and some explosive mass, okay. Yeah. .53 is a underused BR, I think. It's a BR that's really nice to play because the matchmaking is so relatively forgiving. It allows you to play a cruiser that's not really all that good, but still be top dog in the matchmaking most of the time. Ouch! There goes one of my turrets. There goes my bridge. 35-second bridge repair, which is just false. I'm going to repeat this again, but the bridge repair used to just be a separate thing, It just used to be a countdown timer until you could control your ship again. But for some reason, the bridge repair became tied to the actual repair. And the bridge repair is also as long as all the repairs you have to do on your ship. So every time you have to do a ship repair, just repair your entire ship, you might as well anyways. Also, what is of that shooting at me? I get the feeling we have an Atlanta. Yes, that's an Atlanta. And that is a Moffat that should be looking where he's going. Because you have your ship, cannot slow down as easily.
Vessel listing to starboard.
Damage control to repair.
Let's just do the... Sorry? It should have. Actually, hold on, no. It might not. It actually might have a really bad reload from what I've heard. I've heard that the reload varies between 6 and 3 rounds per minute. So anywhere between 10 and 20 seconds. So that could be either mediocre at 10 seconds or really bad at 20. I don't like the fact that they have a... Atlantis definitely should not be 5-3. Definitely shouldn't be, because they are an Atlantis head and shoulders above any other 5-3 in terms of capability. I'm just gonna try and rush into sea though. We also have no friendlies over at A, but that's not good. I wish I had SAP right now because I could nuke that Moffat. Or, that's not a Moffat, that's one of the Tech 3 ships. Oh well, just high explosive into the turrets, I guess, for me.
Enemy listing and losing. Shells on target.
Or a cruiser over there, and a cut off. That's 5-7, so I did actually get an up there.
Destroyer. 120. 2,000 meters. Shells on target.
But in general, did you really need to add more and more ships? I think they're a bit too slow in adding them.
140.
It's also really weird how they keep adding a lot of coastal vessels every update when they just really any reason to play coastal, to be honest.
100. 4,000 meters.
Also, what were they actually adding this update again? Yeah, there was a German coastal vessel which is just similar to the Huygen they added not long ago. What else? What other coastal vessel? There was a Russian sub chase, which is kind of interesting. I kind of like the look of that ship. I like weird ships.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Need it. Direct hit. Starboard your helm.
Using my turrets.
Near hit.
Captured sea, so just skedaddle on out of here. That is an enemy Dido. Not good, because I don't have SAP. Because I just forgot to equip it. Because it's been ages since I actually played the ship. We do have torpedoes. However, that Dido is not in torpedo range. Torpedo tubes are also broken, and I do not wish to repair at the moment. Because that would just lose me a lot of crew. That guy is being incredibly annoying. Just keep on going.
Damage control to repair.
Is there sound alone?
Compound flooded compartments.
There shouldn't be one. I hope there isn't. You might have to just reload the page if there is a sound delay and see if that does anything. But if there is one, that's not something I can fix.
We are critically jamming.
Let's start repairing to get speed underway again.
Damage control to station.
I should also be very careful about any coastal vessels, so let's put the gunners on all targets. I see a sunken coastal vessel, so that's probably no longer a threat.
0, 3,000 feet.
Light cruiser, port, 4,000 meters.
Never mind. That is not a threat anyways, but oh well. Turn the guns. And sink ourselves in SC-497.
Direct hit.
Are they... Oh, friendlies are capturing, hey, that's good.
Light cruiser, astern, 2,000 meters.
Damage control to repair parties. Pump out.
Enemy Atlanta in front, enemy Dido behind.
Damage party to
I'm gonna smoke up my rear. The Atlanta got sunk by a Kudov, lovely.
dangerous shallows ahead.
Did not know we had a friendly Kudov, that's good. I'm gonna smoke behind me, although I get the feeling that there's something else shooting me.
Steer starboard.
And the Brook is still looking for me.
Dangerous shallows ahead.
Oh, I am scraping the bottom of my ship against something. It's part shallower than I thought.
Ahead, 500 meters.
I do... It could be added. It is reasonable enough to be added, the Scharnhorst of the 15-inch guns. I just do not see a reason to add it. You will get Bismarck anyways, for sure. So why add a Scharnhorst of the 15-inch guns? Other than just rule of cool, which I'm completely fine with. It just doesn't seem something like... To me, it doesn't seem something that will happen soon. Because at the same time, you could say, okay, Germany is for sure getting a Bismarck. We know this. There's no questioning it. So why add Scharnhorst with the 15-inch guns? It's just going to be less 15-inch guns on a similar platform.
Engine. Flank.
You could make the same argument for why would you add the Renown? We already have the Hood. Although I'm not too familiar with the difference between the two classes.
1,000 meters.
Port your helm.
I mean, we are going to get H39. I think, is there 38?
Dangerous
We're definitely going to get one of the H classes. But I think you have to realize, in general, there aren't that many battleships left to really add. Especially different ones. Realistically speaking, Japan only has 2 more battleships.
are critically damaged.
That's it. Well, 3. Sorry, 3 if you add the Amagi and the Kaga class.
Near hit.
Britain has a handful. Britain definitely has a handful of battleship classes to add. Germany has Bismarck and the H-39. Russia has whatever. America has a handful of battleship classes, of course. But then Italy has a few more. We are going to run out of battleship classes sooner than you'd think. Also, why is it Dido just sitting there, ignoring me?
Target identified.
Torpedo range is 9.6. That is a torpedo mod, I think. So I should have equipped that after this battle.
Engine.
And I'm going to torpedo behind it and 2 at it.
Torpedo away, torpedo away.
And hope they don't run into like the shallows of the island.
We are critically damaged.
Ahead,
No, the tide is actually pretty low.
Helm. Midships.
The thing is, I don't really see the 15-inch Scharnhorst as being a premium. Mainly because the thing is, if you add that as a premium, right? Why?
On fire.
Because at that rank, you could also just add a premium dreadnought.
Party to bridge.
Although for naval, they have had the reputation of just adding top tier vessels as premiums, anyways.
Target on fire.
What is this?
Target identified.
Okay. Oh, do we have a boat in front of us? No, that's just 20 miles of a destroyer. The Dido has also escaped the range of my torpedoes, which is Sag. Oh well. Oh, there we go. The Tobruk finally got me. After how long? But let's try that again and actually equip ourselves the sap rounds. And VT a second. And also, what is this nonsense? Just put universals, there we go. Like, unironically, the thing I'm looking forward to is what they're going to add after they're done with battleships. Because they will be done with battleships at some point. We are not getting to 12.0 with just battleships. That much is certain. And I get the sneaking suspicion that the only thing they can add to really go up in BR is modern ships. Like, theoretically, and actually kind of likely, they're going to add carriers and submarines at some point. But I don't see those actually going really high in BR. I see them more filling out the kind of BRs we already have. Or maybe up to like 8.0, 7.7, 8.3. Especially the carriers. Like submarines, I don't see them being in their own BR bracket, because why would you? Submarines don't fight other submarines. And the same with carriers, because you have very different eras of carriers. Although I think carrier battles would be the best to have their own be their own BRs. But at the same time, it would be kind of boring as well. The thing is, missile center for ships is not nearly the same as tanks or aircraft, because most ships do have substantial defenses against missiles, against aircraft, against especially modern ships. Like, let's say we go full modern, right? I do not see a jet getting anywhere close to a team of modern ships. I don't know. I don't think they don't want to add purely design ships as of now, because they don't need to, as far as I know. So the requirement for what they want to add as ships, I think, is ships that have started constructions, are already well along the way of construction, not just designs. And while that might not be the biggest difference, you think, for ship design, it is still a considerable difference. Because there are some designs out there that did get designed, but are just purely nonsense. We won't get new naval maps, and you know it. You see top-tier tank battles on low-tier maps, you see top-tier air battles on lower BR maps. I don't think we're going to get new maps because of more cover. Things again, ships have countermeasures against missiles. Be it chaff, be it flares, be it Sea-Wiz shooting it down. Ships are armed to deal with missiles. Most ships that I know, well, for as far as I know, they are. For as far as I care, I do not care in the slightest for what planes should have cover or not. You want to fly a Kavkaz, you need to be aware that you're flying into armored steel fortresses with tons and tons of guns pointed your direction. I'm not going to get into the Moskva pretty well. From what I've heard, that Moskva was barely operational to begin with. Also, was it alone when it got attacked? Because that's also a significant difference, whether a modern vessel will be out on its own or surrounded by other vessels. The thing is, I personally also want to see like the more realistic designs. Designs that seem feasible. Mainly because I just want P65, man. Please give me P65. I need Japanese 100mm guns as secondary guns on my ships. That guy is going in a straight line towards his target. Something you should never do when you're flying tests against ships. Because that happens. Did you see him? Is there a Douglas on the enemy team? That might be what's capping P. Saw a missile trail just now.
Helm, midships. Helm, midships. Aye.
There was a Douglas. But this match seems to be lost. Because I just didn't look at my shell choice. Oh well. The Dido. I have no clue. The thing is, 16-inch guns are not that big compared to what we already have. It's just 1 inch bigger. Like, so what you need to look at for Iowa is what is its armor, what is its speed, what is its fire rate. Like, you need to look at the other factors, just not gun caliber, because gun caliber is no longer a big factor for what we need to see. We already have 15-inch, 16-inch is just 1 inch bigger. And the one exception will be Yamato with 18-inch guns, but even then. The thing is, I think Iowa is probably a battleship they could easily have like a World War II refit and a modern refit of. The Iowa would be a really nice ship to have this transition over from World War II to modern ships. I think, in my opinion. I think that'd be a good ship to have a transition with. Okay, that's Britain. I should really have a game in the Hawkins as well. For fairness sake. But I don't think I really... You know what, I will have a game in the Hawkins. Then I'll go over to the last nation for today, and that's America. Because the Hawkins is a different beast from the Dido. Yeah, I will also fully admit a problem I have is I'm really bad with actual history on ships. All I know is how the ships perform in this game. A gearing of 8-inch guns, that would be interesting. Yeah, that's good.
Action stations, manual post. Engines, flank speed.
That reminds me of an American cruiser I really want to see. Is the Worcester? The one of the the 6 dual turrets. I would love to see that cruiser. There's so many cruisers they can add that are really good additions. Just so many ships. But what do they instead? They add another Japanese premium destroyer. It's just yeah. What are we actually getting? Well, the Nevada's pretty nice. Des Moines being premium is yuck, but at the same time, oh well. What will you do? You don't... The thing is, HE filler is not that important, really, to be honest, in this game. It really isn't. That more. Although it certainly does help, having a good filler. But that is not the most important part of your guns. I think the most important part of the guns is just, you know, accuracy, being able to reliably hit what you want to hit. Solid penetration, because if you just pan a target, you'll usually knock it out, whatever you're shooting at. If you fire a full broadside, be it like a high HE, like be it SAP or be it AP, you'll knock out a crew compartment if you hit a full broadside of it. repair the turret.
Damage
It's
control.
one of my secondaries. Yep, and anti-air guns. Naval definitely has some interesting directions still to go.
Damage control to repair party.
Very interesting directions. I want them to really keep pushing naval. I want them to keep pushing the top tier stuff, keep pushing and adding new and interesting ships. They're currently going at a bit of a snail's pace, in my opinion. Although with the French Navy being added, that's a good plus. Something that's a bit overdue, actually. And something that really started to annoy me. A lot of people were complaining that the premium cruiser for France isn't like a really famous light or heavy cruiser that France had. Like one of the bigger ones. I think what was it, Emile Bertin, Algerie, those kind of cruisers. But I mean, why would you want that cruiser to be a pre-order ship and not just a regular tactory ship? I don't understand those people.
Starboard your helm.
Okay. Do we have any attractive... That's a hipper. So, oof. Big no-no. Moffat and Fletcher leave after one death, because why not? Let's just keep getting closer. The Hawkins main guns aren't really all that accurate. I want to get close.
Repair parties begin damage control.
Good hit. What is this? These are not... oh my god, what are these? What are these? Just... what's them? What these things again? What is this kind of botting? What do you get out of this? Is this even botting? I mean, look at them. Look at them all.
Target identified. Heavy cruiser.
The explosive, what a high explosive filler is good for on AP shells is when you get a kind of near hit where the splash damage then just knocks around nearby components. Let's say if I were to shoot the engines of the Aoba, if I have a higher failure shell, I might also destroy the crew compartment directly above the engine. But with a low failure shell, I might just knock out the engines. Now the problem is, an Aoba is a very dangerous ship for me, because that is a proper heavy cruiser. This is what I mean, right? See, the bridge repair, for some reason gives you the penalty for having 2 repairs at the same time. But the problem is that your bridge usually gets knocked out by a fire anyways. But one way to solve it, that sometimes works, is start a repair and then cancel the repair, and that could also stop the bridge repair. Yeah, it is weird to see the bots in Russian tactory ships. It is really weird. Like that's all they play as well. Player card. No service record, right? I don't have any filters on for Navy or anything. Nothing. But the Courage. Which the... Those are suspiciously... Actually, no, that's 55 battles. Never mind. That's not good. Also, I lost my bridge. I'm just staring into a cliff. No, that's not weird names. Those are not weird names. Hold on. These names are the in-game bot names. But hold on. If I go into options, if I go into privacy confidentiality, here. If you have a premium account, you can disable this, and then everybody on your team will see names like these, Like a bot name with a 4-digit number behind it, bot name with a number behind it, bot name with a number behind it, bot name with a number behind it, and you will see player. That is just an in-game feature. That's not a weird name specific to these zombies or these bots. I'll actually hold on, just enable it again because I do not want to run it. There we go. It's a anonymizing feature, just that they introduced ages ago, but nobody really talks about. But yeah, that's not. These names are not weird. They've just anonymized themselves, so to say. Also, my team is gone. Gone. Oof. And they actually have a fair few cruisers. They have the Aoba, they had a Eugen running around as well, from what I could tell. I think I just saw Leipzig in the kill feed. Nuremberg in the kill feed. Yeah, this is not good for me. I am not gonna respawn after I sink. There's the Nuremberg. See if we can bring that rear gun back in the action again.
Repair parties. Repair parties. Begin damage control. Port all.
Yeah, no, because these aren't their actual profile names. Yes, it's a way to hide. Like, I can still, if I'm in the match with them, I can right click and go to their player card, but these are not their actual names. These are not their usernames. They just use the anonymizer feature that is part of War Thunder. That's why if you look up the username, they won't match because that's not a username. I want to wait for him to expose his rear magazine. I believe the Nuremberg still has an exposed rear magazine. That's way too far forward.
Direct hit. Keep it up. The victory will be ours.
Still too far forward because I knocked out some of his engines. Just around it at the moment.
Damage control. Damage control to firefighting crew.
Oh, you can't take it at all? You should. I mean, I can. You just right click the name. Player card. You can check the profile. Weird. Yeah, I am definitely not winning this match. That's a Mitcher. Yep. Yeah, I'm not clutching this. Are you insane? You could give me a battleship in these circumstances and it's still not win. Which is... This is definitely the most annoying part of the zombie plague, is just... Could have been an alright match if they just spawned 3 times. But nope. You know what? I'm not gonna bother with this. I'm not gonna bother with that. I do not like being shelled with no way to fight back. On to the next lineup. Probably, yep, won't be cool because I've been in the battle for long enough. And we'll go on to the probably the best 5-3 lineup in the game, the Americans. With the Atlanta and 3 heavy cruisers. With Northampton, yeah, I just left Northampton out of the lineup. And we'll go for that. I'm looking at the chat. The 30 kilogram warhead is big enough to hull break most coastal vessels, by the way. But yeah, it's pretty I don't think, yeah, 30 kilograms probably won't do much to destroyers. It'll do something to destroyers. Not a whole lot, though. No, actually, hold on. 30 kilograms of TNT might be pretty dangerous to a... I'll double check what the anti-ship missiles we have in game already actually have for a payload. A tier list as in like rating every ship of the same BR? I could. Could do something like that. I haven't really considered something like that yet because I want to review all the ships first, but yeah, that's taking a while.
Secure the ship for sea. Engines, flank speed. Aye, steer port.
But yeah, I could do something like that.
Destroyer. Ahead. 10,000 meters.
The problem with something like
Enemy spotted.
a format of that, a video of that kind of format, is you don't want to go too deep into each specific ship, because that'll just drag on for ages and ages. You want to be pretty quick and snappy about it. Yep, it's most certainly machine gun time. Let me actually double check. Do I have turret ranging shots? Yes, please. What is the matchmaking? It looks very favorable. Do we... Ooh, those look like prime machine gun targets.
Target identified. Destroyer.
Bearing 340. 8,000
Kind of want to get closer still.
Port, all. Hard port, aye. Engine.
Let's pelt the Tashkent first, shall we?
Helm midships, aye.
repair stations.
There's the range for it.
Port your helm.
Let's update again. And we'll open fire. I'm gonna switch to SAP. What I want to remind you when you see this is just remember all the other 5-3s we just played before. This is the same BR as every single one of the other ships we played. Same BR as the Agano, same BR as the Dido, same BR as the Hawkins, same BR as the Leipzig. Surely it has the exact same capabilities as all of those ships. I think I've shot through my ready racks. The rate of fire has slowed down a bit. But it is still an oppressive amount of 5-inch shells.
Enemy listening and losing speed.
Oh, what do you have there?
Enemy hit.
American destroyer.
Midships, aye. Light cruiser. Starboard.
Let's try and get some guns on target. And we'll open fire again. Firing full salvos with this ship is also quite devastating. If you manage to land them. which I'm falling short apparently.
Shells on top.
There we go. What do we have here? British destroyer.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
Several destroyers even.
Target identified. Destroyer.
Bearing. 3,000 meters. Direct hit.
All astern. Stern. 6,000 meters.
Oh. Not run into me. Let's just continue melting this battle class. We're just ammo racking through the front.
Starboard your helm. Steer starboard.
It is such an impressive amount of 5-inch guns. And the thing is, even when you're up tiered, and Atlanta still brings a lot of firepower to the table. Because you can just use high explosive shells to just destroy the superstructures of cruisers.
Light cruiser. Starboard. 3,000 meters.
So what is going on over there? I need to focus. What is shooting me? Are you shooting me? It's Krim shooting me. Oh.
Port your helm. Aye. Steer port.
Well, let's put the theory of melting cruisers with high explosive to test. As you can see, I'm just firing high explosive with Scrim. I'm knocking out all of his main guns. There are destroyers in front of me that I should be aware of. Actually, that battle class seems like a bit of a threat. Because he's shooting at me, so I have to shoot back. Don't show broadside daring, don't. It's a daring, so I can't ammo rack it in front. I'll just keep pelting it. That thing spamming 40 mils will be next. Oh, no, you'll be first, because oh, it's the Kavkaz. I don't really understand what it's trying to do by just spamming 40 mils in my direction. Especially since I can just deconstruct it with 5-inch shells. Daring's trying to get into cover. Clearly failing. Lost a lot of turrets.
Helm. Hard to starboard. Damage control to repair party. Compound flooding compartment. Shells on target.
Yeah, I think World of Warships has that ship to Austin.
Torpedo bomber. Ahead.
What on earth is that?
Keep it up and victory will be ours.
I think I need to... Yes, I just upload it. But I need to deal with this daring and ASAP. There we go. Let's try and get into A. I think the FDL will be next.
cross. Starboard your hole.
Just keep on pelting the FDL. I think you can actually detonate him, as I remember it. Yes, there we go. Crew knocked out. Back to HE for this Kavkaz, but it's, you know, it's a zombie. He hasn't repaired anything. So just spam it with high explosive. Let's swap back to SAP to maybe try and mess up with the... Nope. PT. What is... Does a 219 have bombs? I don't think a 219 has bombs, does it? So what on earth is it trying to do flying over here? I have no idea what a 219 was trying to do. Well, game over. Top team of the Atlanta, but that is to be expected in a downturn like this.
The battle is over.
And yeah.
Stand back.
Yeah, obviously 30mm guns will sink an Atlanta outright. Especially with HFAP rounds. And that is pretty much everything I really want to show for 5.3. I mean, the American heavy cruisers I've streamed before. Pretty fun ships. So what do we play now? Kinda want to play this lineup again, just to showcase you how bad the 140s are. That. I've already played the Trento just earlier. I've already done it. I am tempted to use the Seata for a match again. Oh yeah, actually I was going to look at the explosive mass of these missiles, wasn't I? So yeah, then the because somebody said earlier there was a Brave class with missiles with a 30 kilogram warhead. So it'd be similar to the Neptunos in explosive power. Yeah, let's play Italy again and then Japan. Not a bad map for coastals, although not the best either in an uptier like this. Because destroyers tend to really quickly be able to enter the B area. So I just have a few minutes to really hold and contest B in a coastal vessel before you lose it to destroyers. Got Northampton with us. So we'll just contest B with our 40 mils. Do I have backups? I do. Although it is rather unlikely to actually face an enemy coastal vessel at 4-7. So it's probably just going to be me capturing B and probably moving down towards where A is roughly. Just out of the way of this area.
Timone, a mezza nave.
Because there is nothing more fun than shooting down an aircraft with anti-air missiles at this BR. There are destroyers already.
Posti di combattimento.
I should be able to just keep outrunning them.
Bersaglio individuato. Caccia torpediniere.
Bussola. 1, 2, 0. 4.000 metri.
This is a bit risky.
A bordo.
Sì, signore. Mi pare a babordo.
What's that? No, okay. Smoke screen, I saw there for a second.
1, 2, 0. 4.000 metri.
No enemy coastals to be found. There we go. I'm being fired upon. I need to get behind that rock over there ASAP. Come on. That's... Ooh, that's worse. That's worse. Because now I don't have a bridge anymore.
Controllo dei danni alle
That's pretty bad. Because now I have no control. I'm just gonna sail right out in the open again.
riparare le parti.
Okay.
Iniziare il controllo dei danni.
And there we go. Still in cover, luckily. Problem is I don't have any torpedoes. Let's see if we can mark this guy. Outside of artillery range. Damn.
Postazione di riparazione. Guida compromessa. Nave fuori controllo.
Timone, virare
And I
tutto a
think
bordo.
we are just gonna be sitting around here.
Oh no! Abbiamo subito danni!
Controllo dei danni per riparazione delle parti.
No, there is a version, yes, there is a version of Zeta with 3 L-70 Bovers, the Frigate,
Massima velocità.
which is an event vehicle. The thing is, you lose basically the third L-70s just in place of the missile launcher. And I actually don't tend to use the third gun on the Frigate. I prefer having torpedoes.
Caccia torpediniere.
Okay, Frank Knox, that's not good, that's not good, that's not good. Hello. Yeah.
Tutto l'equipaggio.
Yeah, that is kind of the problem with this map, is that destroyers get onto it really quickly, and you don't really have an option to go anywhere. What I'm gonna try and do is just run out of that side. Yes, it is theoretically possible, but it's really not likely. And I am not going to pick a fight with a destroyer that can one-shot me for the odd chance that I can missile it to death.
Nemico avvistato. Timone, a mezza nave.
Timone a mezza nave.
So I'm just gonna bravely run away. There's the Frank Knox again. I need to stay behind this little island.
Timone a babordo.
The thing is, I'm not gonna get any help because I have the strong suspicion that this is the only other human being on my team. And I don't like that prospect.
Timone, virare tutto a tribordo.
Tutto a babordo. Sì, signore.
Because I really want to make a run for it, but what's the... I don't have enough cover. Oh, I knocked out the steering gear of my artillery.
Motori, arresto totale.
Enemy forces have captured a zone.
I'm gonna try it. I'm just gonna try a run for it.
Incrociatore leggero. 160. 8.000 metri.
Keep going. Hope it doesn't see me.
Tribordo.
Hope it doesn't see me. It's right on that side.
We no longer have the advantage.
Come on.
Bersaglio individuato.
I'm going to drop a smoke screen as soon as I can.
Bussola. 1, 2, 0. 1.000 metri.
As soon as I round this corner, I'm dropping a smoke screen. Although I might not have... I might not have to drop a smoke screen. Nope, it's looking at me. I saw the turret's right data. Dropping a smoke.
Dispiegare la
Nope, nope,
turbina
nope.
appoggio.
I do not want to get shot by that thing. There it goes. Ouch. And just keep on running. And I am just gonna sit around this area probably. But yeah, I get the sneaking suspicion we are not winning this match. We just will not win this match because I think we only have one other human player, that being the Northampton.
Timone a babordo.
Sì, signore. Virare a babordo.
So let's just try and get out of dodge as soon as possible. And then we'll just keep an eye out on the sky. Luckily also do have a radar, so we will be able to detect as soon as an enemy aircraft spawns in.
Timone a tribordo.
Our spawn being over there somewhere.
Virare a tribordo.
Yeah.
Caccia torpediniere. 8-0.
Now I do have to hope that the destroyer isn't actually chasing me. Because if he is, I might be in deep trouble.
The enemy's getting closer to victory.
Yeah, I'm guessing this isn't going to be exciting gameplay to watch, but that is just what 4-7 coastals are like. Severely outclassed in anything they face. I don't even remember how I really grinded this ship. I think I just even GE'd the missile launcher, to be honest.
Caccia torpediniere. Bussola. 1-8-0.
Yeah,
8000 metri.
it's I find it really funny when you missile somebody with these ships and they don't actually know that these ships exist. I had that in my last stream last week, where I missiled somebody in a BV, that low-tier triple-engine seaplane for the Germans. I missiled somebody in it with a Douglas, and he just was baffled that there's an anti-air missile at 3-7, the BR he was playing. That was always fun. I don't like being this close to all these enemy ships. The thing is, I do need a line of sight towards the
Tutto a babordo.
Tutto a babordo.
towards the enemy air spawn if I actually want to make myself useful.
Caccia torpediniere. 1-4-0. 5000 metri.
But yeah, this match is lost. Purely because we don't have human players at all. I think that Moffat might be one. But they most certainly aren't.
Dietro tutta.
I think that guy's a player, but he is just being swamped. That's definitely not a real player, and
Tutto a babordo. Sì, signore.
yeah, I don't think so. Actually, we can check. What is this? Was it the Krim or Kavkaz? Kavkaz.
A mezza nave.
Timone a mezza nave.
Won't you look at that? Yeah, no, those are not human numbers. Nope. Zombie. Bot. I think the enemy has 3 players. I think one Moffat, the Frank Knox. They have a Dido around as well that I saw. So yeah, we're just outnumbered.
Motori. Tutto a
Do I
poppa.
still have a lot of Southam's air spawn? I do.
Timone a babordo.
Sì, signore. Virare a babordo. Quasi
Yeah, the thing is, that's different.
Motori.
Those are anti-ship missiles. Like, these are anti-air missiles, both on this ship and the Douglas. It is weird. But it is not something that hasn't happened before. You used to actually see Kavkaz's Spokojnis and the Chapayev, but they're a different kind of bot. They're not the usual zombies we're used to. So it is weird to see them in these Russian ships. I don't know what's up with that. Yep, now we wait. The thing is, I have to rely on one of the players' ships to get sunk. One of the enemy players' ships to get sunk. And them to spawn an aircraft. Which I don't think is going to happen. This is just... What's playing set is like? Although you usually don't just first and second spawn like I did. You spawn as like your last spawn.
Put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
Enemy also has a Leipzig. Not good.
Quasi colpito.
I'll fire one missile at this Moffat
Caccia torpediniere.
and take my chances.
200. 8000 metri.
There we go.
Quasi colpito.
The missile didn't drown, good. We have to aim right at the waterline, I think around there-ish. Maybe even a bit forward. We see the missile on the radar screen. Should be close to impact now. I no longer see it on radar. It shouldn't have drowned.
Quasi colpito.
Okay, that missile should have been at the target long by now. Don't know what happened to it.
Caccia
Oh
torpediniere.
well.
120. 5000 metri.
Yeah, this is just gonna be another game that's just over. We have nothing we can do against it. I sank the Frank Knox round B. Let's try and actually just get back into B then.
Timone. Tirare tutto a tribordo.
Tutto a bordo. Sì, signore.
Timone. A mezza nave.
Timone a mezza nave.
Just
Sì,
keep
signore.
going. That's a player. I've seen it one the last match I think, and that's a player Moffat. But he's just about to just shred our destroyers over there.
Caccia torpediniere. 120. 5000 metri.
Still no aircraft on radar because they just haven't really lost anybody. Like an aircraft is a spawn you expect for the third or the fourth spawn in a match. For the people that only just got sunk once, there was no way they were going to respawn an aircraft. We lost our Kavkaz eventually. I say, yeah, that's a real player as well. Yeah. All gone. Victims to the zombie horde. Yeah, there are some ships that have IR anti-air missiles modeled. The Cyclones should technically have them. There's a few Russian coastal vessels with IR missiles on them as well. Fellas, I think. Not entirely sure. We are capturing B, but too little, too late, I think.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
And the tickets are about to be dry, I think. Come on. Almost there.
Allied forces have captured a
And then we can move on to something else. I probably would have been able to do something if I actually spawned in the Trento, but oh well. I wanted to play Sata, so I played Sata. But now... what shall we play now? Also just gonna quickly double check my Dido, because I thought it still had the torpedo mode modification equipped. It doesn't. Okay. But yeah, ships with IR missiles should be Cyclone. I think like these boxes carried stingers. So it would just be a dude that would go into a box, take out a stinger and shoot at an aircraft. There are a few Russian ones as well. Does the 12-4-12 have them? Yeah, 12-4-12 has... I think they're Strelas, I'm not sure. They even have a hitbox, but yeah, they just don't do anything in game. Does a premium one actually have that as well? Yeah, the premium has them as well. I'm gonna play a match of Japan in the Sendai, I think. In the meantime, I'm gonna think of what to play after that. Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, there was even more code found on the possible functionality of the Hood's UP launchers. It's really... I want those things to work, because they're such a wacky anti-air weapon. So, a reason why these Japanese 140s are just painful to play nowadays, like the Sendai, the Kuma, the Yubari, is their fuse delay. Like, if you look at the shell, you know, penetration is not that bad. Like 81 to 70 millimeters penetration, but then you look at the fuse delay of 0.001 second, and you realize that that's just instant. These shells just do not penetrate any distance into the target before they detonate. They're basically just high explosive, which is less filler. Oh, with these, with how they changed the SAP, these should definitely be 4-7. It's a crime that these ships are still 5-0. How their SAP performs. And I say that, like, look at that. If that was any other ship with a decent AP shell, that would have been a detonated Moffat. Yeah, they just don't do anything. If you're going to switch to high explosive and see that would do more damage. Also, that could get annihilated by something shooting at it. Do I have my torpedoes? Good, yes. The Zhelazhnikov is probably not going to do much for us. Faro is somebody I run into fairly often as well. That's actually a pretty dangerous player. Good to see them on my team.
Allied forces have captured a zone.
Yeah. The thing is, these cruisers were actually pretty alright before they changed to 140mm SAP. But now these 140mm guns are just a joke. I will try and actually get closer to the enemy destroyers and see if I can hit them more reliably. Frank Knox is a really good ship, yeah. It is, if you now have to choose between getting the Moffat and the Frank Knox, always go for the Frank Knox if you want a premium American destroyer. It doesn't have the massive rear ammo rack vulnerability. And overall I think it's just a better destroyer as well. I'm gonna try and make my way over to A. But I get the feeling I'll meet some heavy resistance, which I will not be able to deal with. Oh yeah. I personally don't have the Wilkinson, but I do know that it's just better than the Mitcher. It's better 76s. I love getting shot by a light cruiser I can't fight. So what you do is an abrupt course change in the hopes to throw off the aim. The thing is I don't have much wiggle room when it comes to maneuvers. Oh, I oranged the boiler room. Lovely. Let's see, can we detonate a Moffat? I think I already know the answer, but let's try it anyways. If we can hit it, of course.
Victory is close.
Oh, that was pretty light damage. It's coming to a stop. I'm actually doing some damage to it. Good. But as you can see, the damage is a bit lackluster for what you really should be able to do with these kind of guns. Kind of weird for it to just crawl to a halt. Yeah, look at this. What is the ship I hate to play the most? I would give it a tie between the Isuzu, and with that I mean this Isuzu, and pretty much any coastal vessel above like 3.3 or 3.0 even. Coastal is just gone down the drain to what it used to be. And I don't think people truly realize how bad the naval split actually was for that kind of stuff. And of course the fact that before, destroyers used to have the same damage model as coastal vessels, so coastal vessels could actually fight destroyers pretty reliably. But nowadays it's just impossible. Also, I have been horribly updated, haven't I? And that's a lot of shells coming from a light cruiser, and I do not like that. But yeah, I think when it comes to ships I dislike the most, it's definitely either this cruiser or just high BR coastal vessels. And I do mean coastal vessels and not frigates, because frigates are alright. Just like PT boats at 3.7s are useless. Ouch. Torpedoes, all of them. Please do not lose the launchers. I'll do one ahead and one behind. Yes, they're good ships. That's, like, again, lower BR coastal vessels are still alright. The high BR ones are just useless. Like 2-3 for Japan is a really good BR. Also, I've lost literally every single one of my guns, and I do not intend to repair it against something I cannot physically pen anyways. Although it seems that he's still on course to hit my torpedoes. They are a bit on the slow side, however. 70 kph, yeah. Like, to me, 70 kph is the bare minimum for a torpedo to be usable in realistic. Anyways, let's start repairs. Let's try and inflict some damage to him. Yeah, the premium type 4, as long as it doesn't get that restriction on the 20 mils, it's just going to be a really good premium until the end of time. It's just very fun. It's also just a fun boat. Okay, I managed to knock out one of his turrets. I think he is below the crew threshold. He is, so he's sinking. But definitely not because of my firepower. Hello there. Pardon? I do not remember if I actually know him on any Discord, but I have seen him before and he is a pretty good naval player. Enemy aircraft? Yep, that is definitely the guy that just sunk next to me. Let's mark him for our dude. So that he knows there is an aircraft up. Ouch. That hurt. Hurt a lot. That also made me lose all of my anti-air guns. I'm gonna up and I'm already dead. From Kavkaz. And those two weird tubes were broken. I've gotten into the habit of just carrying depth charges anyways. Also the TU1 just wasted his bombs on me because I'm dead. That's annoying. Now, the worst ship you could possibly play when it comes to cruisers, the Isuzu. Why is it the worst ship you could possibly play? Because it just has anti-air 5-inch guns as the main guns. With nothing but high explosive. And times use high explosive. The thing is, these are shorter barreled than the Japanese destroyers, so they're lower velocity. So it's basically a supersized Japanese destroyer with worse guns. Fun stuff. At least this has an anti-air complement. You know, actual anti-aircraft guns. I do think it's a pretty cool ship, but it just doesn't do anything. That's way too far out there for me to really engage. Just look at the arcs of those guns. Going to take ages. Oh, did hit him. Did knock out the torpedo tube. They do have a good reload though, because they are anti-aircraft guns. But again, they don't really do much. Because all they have is high explosive. Luckily we are winning this match. Somehow. Seems we just knocked more of their bots out than they did ours. It's gonna be game very soon. Mainly thanks to I actually managed to capture A. That's currently winning us the game. Capturing C, that's good. And there we go.
敵を破壊。基地へ向かうぞ。
What will I play next? I'm not really in a mood to really use any of the ships I'm grinding with. Because that's just all high tier stuff and that just gets pretty boring pretty quick. So I might play the Type 4 that somebody was talking about, that Nick was talking about. I just played that. I don't have a lineup for it, so let's just quickly make one. Get out of here, Phantom. We are making a coastal lineup. Now, what is the Type 4? So 1-7. There it is. Type D38. Yes, please. Okay, there we go. Yes. Yes, it is. The BR difference between Atlanta and the Nizuzu is just 0.3. The regular Type 4 is that slot, which I can't see why. Type 5, yes please. I think that means I can have a aircraft in this one. Or I should put an aircraft in this one. P5N will do. And we'll play this. If we can find a match, that is. That was an alright queue time for a coastal match. Drowned City. Here we go. A map you don't often see. Although it is most likely going to absolutely destroy my frame rate. So if you're seeing the frame rate tank, it's this map. Don't worry too much about it. I don't have a backup on the ship, sadly. I'll just have to play it a bit more carefully. And what you do on the Type 4 Mod 4 is you switch to the 20mm. And that's your main gun. Because you see this bit of wire that's supposed to be a restriction of where the gun can aim? Yeah, it doesn't work on the ship. Hey, hello there, Nick. You are now in my match. I actually really like this map. It's a fun, very fun map. But it does just... It's not good for your frame rate. Especially if you're not on the strongest of computers out there. It is a fun map. I'm going to zoom the map in a bit more so I can see all the obstacles. Can I go through here? I can't. So I have to just go into the front door on a... Theoretically speaking, high-tier coastal can get this map, but you just never see coastal-only maps when playing high-tier coastal. Which is a real shame. It's probably actually one of them. Oop, target front. Italian. Come on, gun lower. There we go. Another target front. That looks like an 80-foot nasty. It's tucked into cover. Capture the point and skedaddle. Problem is that nasty is still around somewhere, so I need to be very careful. Target. There we go. Yeah, normally these guns would just not be that good because you'd only be able to fire them at broadside. But because they just don't have this firing restriction to the front, this is a really good ship at this BR. Because obviously the engines block a major part of your firing arc. I'm in the middle of an artillery strike. Yeep. Fine, we're fine, we're fine. I kind of want to reload the belt, if possible. Go. And I'm gonna wake my way over to B. And I think, was that the guy in the... This renamed guy was in the... Yeah, he was in the PTF-7. Tracers. Not good, not good, not good, because I'm not killing them. Ooh, the Sokote got me. Okay. I can respect that. Can already get a B6, a B5, sorry, but I'm not planning to. I'm gonna take the K8. Nope, I'm gonna take the tapes type T38. Actually, because this is a 25mm gun. And then the type 5 will be on the last spawn, probably. This has a 25mm gun with 360-degree firing angles. Now this thing... Why do I not carry torpedoes? Kind of, when you say Geniere, which one do you refer to? Because there are two Genieres, although one is more common than the other. There's the Fletcher and there's the... I don't know what the Italian class is actually called, but there's an Italian destroyer as well. The pre-order bundle used to be Geniere. Somebody depth charge somebody? Because that is the true coastal ways. Depth charges become melee weapons. He's behind a skyscraper. Do you mean, are you talking about a coastal vessel that's called Geniere? Oof, another depth charge claims the victim. Yeah, this map is fantastic for if you're used to coastal. It's just a high-paced map. Very fun map. You know, I used to not be a fan of the idea of completely splitting the matchmaking between coastals and blue water. But I'm starting to grow to that, you know, like that idea a bit more and more. I'm gonna see what is going on up here.
Most of the zones are under control.
Type T51A got destroyed. But torpedoed somebody. Ooh, that's a fun boat to have in these kind of maps, because that's relatively tanky. And if there's I think it has 2 dual 20mm or 2 dual 50 cals on the bridge. That's a pretty nasty armor when you're just fighting coastals. More torpedo impacts. Enemies capturing zone A. Oh yeah, the Fletcher, kind of, yeah. That's a pretty neat premium. Come on, there we go. Reload the belt. There. I was lucky that guy was actually fairly heavily damaged. And mass, but I'm not too worried about it, seems like it's an AI. Oh, hello, G5. go.
Another zone captured, we have the advantage. Engaging the enemy.
Yeah, I think honestly, if you want to have fun, and just like brain dead fun and naval, play coastals below the BRF 2.0. It is genuinely just fun. The one drawback is that queue times tend to be quite long because people don't really play coastal that much anymore. But it is just brain dead fun. The reserve destroyers are good as well if you're comfortable enough with whatever reserve destroyer you picked. But for me, just like brain dead fun is just playing these later coastals. It's also... You have to remember that originally naval was designed with the intent of just mainly being coastals. And you can kind of tell the way that the game plays, the way that the maps are designed. It just plays so much better when you're playing coastal. Although, I do remember the barge domination that used to be a thing. It wasn't all fun and games. It wasn't all just balanced and fair. There we go. I think there's actually what I want to play. I want to play the American one subs because I haven't played those in ages. And I really want to play those as well. Is it a lineup I use? No, it isn't. So let's use that one. Let's just make the lineup. Let's switch out these vessels for some aircraft. Yeah. And preferably a fighter, there we go. Let's see. No mortar, good, because the mortar is useless. PT-20. Good. And torpedoes and charges. And off we go. So I haven't played these boats in years. I do remember kind of liking the PT-20, even though the gun layout is a bit awkward. Yeah, I've come to understand how the C means a Fletcher class. But that is a good premium for Italy. Sadly only rank 2, but that's what just most premium destroyers are nowadays. Bit of a shame, really. Let's hope we can get a battle in timely fashion. But now that I'm just waiting here, let's just think what I'm going to do next week. Finally finish a German destroyer video, hopefully, if I can actually get myself to do it. And I hope that a new update comes out next week, and then I can stream that. Although there isn't really anything I want from the next update. Sure, the friendships are cool. New premium Japanese destroyer to collect. Other than that, Nevada, I suppose, is something I want. An American dreadnought with 14-inch guns and actual anti-air. Sign me up. But I've actually completely forgotten what else we're actually getting this update. This new smug animation for the funnels, yeah, pretty good. Yeah, I actually quite like the new smug animation on the dev server. It doesn't really look all that good on your ship, but it looks good from a distance on enemy ships. And then you have the circling mechanic for scout planes. But yeah. Well, this is a naval queue that I'm more familiar with. A naval coastal queue. But I'm willing to wait in order to actually have a fun match. But yeah, if the update comes out during the next week, I can guarantee you that the first stream is literally just going to be me playing the friendships. Yes, top tier coast for Japan, for sure, because they're frigates. And frigates, they're pretty decent frigates too. I can even play you a match of those later. I wanted PT-20 because I haven't played that one in ages. I'm gonna do a match of the Japanese top tier
Secure the ship
coastals
complete.
after this.
Engines, flank speed. Helm, hard aport.
Hard aport, aye.
Helm, midship.
Helm midships, aye.
Low player numbers, but as to be expected.
Dangerous shallows ahead.
Yeah, Japanese frigates. The one thing, like the ones armed with a 76mm gun, just use AP on them.
Starboard your helm.
The actual Japanese ones, like the World War II Japanese ones, are a bit difficult to play, really. Something like that.
Action station. Enemy spotted.
Ah, yeah. I mean, Japan is just the easiest one to do for the battle pass task. It's not the only one you can do it with, but it's just the easiest. It is out of range.
Boat.
Bearing 220. 3,000 meters.
Hello there, player.
Ahead! 500 meters.
Engine, 1/3. Go! Oh God!
All hands! We have been critically damaged.
Helm, hard a starboard.
Helm portal, aye.
Got a friendly LS3 with us. Yeah, I know. Term. They are only going to introduce new premiums. We know this. We know that they're only going to bring out premiums this update. And that the 3 will be for another update. They've told us. I think they've told it, yeah, but that's the case.
Target identified. Boat.
Not the biggest fan of that, but yeah, that is just what it is.
1,000 meters.
And I am planning to play both of the ships on the stream for quite a while. Yes. You know the events where you have to like get 10,000 mission score or something per day to get a star? I think the summer and winter events do that. Yeah, I used just Chikugo for that. And in the past, where there used to be actual tasks like get X amount of torpedo kills, get X amount of kills on a cap, get X amount of damage done, all of those I did with the Chikugo. I like that frigate. Although I've definitely grown to like the later frigates in the 3 more. I think I still like the Chikugo a lot because it has torpedoes. Whoops. They're not exactly good torpedoes, but they're still torpedoes. The other reason why Chikugo is so fun to do for events is because everybody's playing rank 3 and above. The only people you face in reserve destroyers are actual people that are playing reserve destroyers to unlock new stuff. Or you'll run into SKRs, but that's... yeah, that's SKRs.
Target identified. Enemy hit. Fire spotted on the enemy ship. Target identified.
Yeah, Chikugo was really good for the star type of event. In my opinion. But, well, that's what I use always. Then they introduced the Isuzu and the Ayanami, and then I've just been using those instead. Bomber? There it is. Really high up. But let's actually keep track of it. Don't really know what he's planning to do with a Val.
Keep the pressure on. Victory is close.
Please come after me, I want the 50 cal you. I want to shoot down an aircraft with these 50 cals.
Air attack alert. Port your helm. Aye, steer port.
Of course, now is when I have to reload one of them. The other one is currently in a blind spot. Oh no. And he got his wing ripped off by an LS3. Oh, whoa, what's shooting me? That bomb missile definitely didn't just scare me, but I have to focus on whatever's shooting me. Oop. Nope. Don't ground.
Direct hit. Starboard your helm. Aye, steer starboard.
I know there's a boat up ahead, but I need to deal with what's behind me.
We are critically damaged. Shells on target. Shells on target.
Another zone captured. We have the advantage.
Enemy destroyed.
And there we go.
Whoa.
It was fun playing this boat again.
Yes, enemy routed. Report victory to...
But yes, the late BR Japanese frigates. Don't think I have a lineup ready with this, but I can make one quickly. Do I have one at the ready? I do not. Let's just make one then. So this would be a lineup I would run if I actually replace this with, like, let's say an aircraft. Actually, that's good because this is the lineup of this. This is a lineup I would run if we were to do stuff like events, because they're all rank 3 and above. And still a pretty low BR, but they're all good vessels. Like PGO2 just shreds coastal vessels apart. PT-15 has really good torpedoes for dealing with destroyers. Then Shonan. Shonan is more fun than anything, although a bit vulnerable. And Chikugo, my prized possession. I'll actually play a match just in Chikugo. Actually, I do have Akebono, but I just never use it. I don't even have it crewed. Because I have the Akazuchi, although the Akebono is faster. Do I need to? I don't need to crew it. I'll be fine with this lineup. Now I will say that the experience in Chikugo largely depends on the skill of the enemies you face. Because if you face destroyers that know what a Chikugo is and what its weaknesses are, you're not gonna have a good time. If you're facing SKR7s, you're definitely not going to have a good time, but that's for anything in that BR bracket. Good night, THV. And thank you for coming to watch anyways, and chat. I really do appreciate people typing in the chat. It's probably the most fun part of doing the streams. Mediterranean port is not a bad map for frigates, because you spawn pretty close to the coastal areas, but still also have good enough cover from destroyers, so I just need to go get this dash, get into cover, and then I'll be safe. So let's try and do just that. I don't think chatting in a stream really matters for an algorithm. I don't actually know how that works for streams on YouTube. It's more the interaction that I care about. That is an Abdiel, so we're up tier to 4.0 minimum. Let's just hope it won't shoot at us. That is a destroyer. And Pharaoh has joined us again. A leopard, I think, yep. Yes. I don't really want to engage at these ranges. So I'm just gonna try and get into cover as fast as possible. I'll adjust my course, and there goes my bridge, as of course it would. Also, being a slight turn is not a bad thing at the moment. Because it means that they'll throw their aim off. There we go. My main gun got knocked out of course. What is actually the one shooting at me? Is it the Abdiel? Because if it's the Abdiel, we might be in trouble, because I can't fight it at the range it is. If it's any of the other ships, however, I'm willing to fight them. But looking at the shells, that's the Abdiel shooting at me. Or the Abdiel. I don't actually know how you pronounce that name. If it's Abdiel or Abdiel. Just keep taking the damage that is part of this process. It might be. Depends on how they ever want to introduce ASRock, because that's homing torpedoes as well. Just keep firing. One thing to note, and especially if good crews for these Chikugo, I think even with bad crews, don't take into account the overheat at all. Ignore it. Just keep firing. Because on some ships the overheat will make your guns less accurate. That's not the case for these American 3-inch guns, 76s. Just keep firing until the barrels jam, because you might as well. I don't like the fact that this is low cover, meaning that they can shoot over it. But I'll follow this Vega in, actually repaired, get some speed up.
Destroy the target!
enemy aircraft, but we have radar, so we know this. B3 will switch to VT, because we are on cover and not really under threat from surface vessels.
ここに配置につけ効果も大きな損傷を受けた
It really does, doesn't it? Also, HEVT is more than sufficient for coastals, so I can still engage with these fights. But I cannot fight destroyers with VD. Enemy aircraft up. Definitely priority target. We have radars, so we have a lead indicator. It seems to be... He's going down. He's on fire now. If he's planning on heading towards us though, nope. Now we reload the AP. It takes 11 seconds to switch your reload belt, so it is something you have to consider. But the only time you really have to switch belts is for air target threats, and luckily you have a very early warning for that. As long as your radar is still operational. Clemson class, my favorite class to shred in Chikagos. Because they have very big engine compartments. Of course, if I don't keep undershooting my target. Okay, man. You do need to make sure though that if you're playing a frigate is like... You're playing a class that's smaller on destroyer and really should not be fighting multiple destroyers, especially at once. So just stay in cover. And just slowly but surely shoot at a single target. And again, you see, I just completely ignored my overheat thing. Only one gun jammed, and by the time that gun unjammed again, my other gun was still firing. So if you're playing these frigates, these modern frigates, just keep firing those 76s. It's just more worth it than trying to manage that overheat. Coastal vessel. The 40s are already trying to fire at the coastal vessel. I need to knock at the bridge out on the C5 because that's all that's left. Well, let's see if we can fight some more destroyers. You do have to be careful though, because Chikagos' main ammo storage is massive. Any competent player that knows Chikago and knows it well will just one-shot you. But that's the fun part about playing frigates at the reserve BR for destroyers. Most people you fight will not know what you are and how to kill you. I see a target on radar. That Vega is also very dangerous. Target is still far out. I'm going to put my 40 on just air targets though, because that's a priority. There we go. I really don't want to fight this Vega, but I think I'll have to. So I am going to pick the fight. I'm gonna try and get into the cap as well, but it seems a friendly coastal vessel is going to get in there. Let's just come to a halt here. And just keep firing, let's just ignore the overheat. There goes one gun, but I'm still firing a gun, so I just keep firing. There go both guns. So that leaves me a bit vulnerable. However, there goes the first gun back online again, so just a few seconds that you lose one of your guns. But yeah, that Vega is not really an optimum range for me to fight him. Preferably I want to be as close as possible to those destroyers, so I can more accurately hit their engines. I'm going to get out of the way of that. Also, what's behind him? That's an owl, right? Yeah. They're in positions I don't really want to try and mess with. No enemy aircraft up either, because my radar is not telling me anything. Enemy team has already been dissolved. So I couldn't really show off how the Chikugo plays, but I hope you kind of understand what it is. You just want to brawl with destroyers. Yeah, we already have one. Technically. Yeah, no, we just already have a post-war Japanese destroyer in the Blue Water Tree. It's only a matter of time before the others will come there as well. Although, somewhere I still have the sneaking suspicion they'll add, like, those types of ships to the coastal tree to make that a bit more relevant. But at the same time, I don't know. I mean, it's technically not a Fletcher either, Nick. It's an actual vessel produced in Japan. It's not a Fletcher hull. It just looks like a Fletcher because of those turrets. But technically, that is not a Fletcher hull. That is just an indigenous Japanese ship with American armament. That courage is annoying. 4 kilometers kind of outside of my comfortable range to shoot at him, but I'll just shoot at him. Because I get the feeling that this is a zombie, so I just shoot it. Because they're not going to stop shooting me. And game over. I think we have one more battle in it for today. So what do we play as our last ships? I've completed 3 Blue Water Trees. And next on the list is either Germany or Italy. Couldn't really care less about Russia, to be honest. I just don't care about their ships. And of course, France very soon. I could just play a Italian 5-7 match to end it off with. I think I'll do that. I'll just play one Italian 5-7 match with Trento in the lineup. And because this is a lineup I'm grinding with, let's use one of my boosters. Let's use 2 of my boosters. And Savoia is definitely the one I want to research first because it's more expensive. Yep. So yes, we'll end it with after this match. A production map, because of course that's what high tier naval is anymore. Especially for cruisers and battleships. 4 meter depth stroke torpedoes, yes. It's a name I'm familiar with, but not in a good sense, really. See most of my team spawning up north, I spawn with them.
Ai posti di combattimento. Motori a massima velocità. Timone a tribordo.
Sì, signore. Virare a tribordo. Incrociatore leggero. 100.
And let's see what we can do this match. See, does my... I have standard... Gee, I can fire them against ships then. All premium ships, because of course. Oh. Ah, Faro's on the enemy team, damn. Please spare me, I have boosters running Faro. Let's just shoot up their zombie fleet, I guess. Go for the best. I'm gonna start pulling at those verse because I don't like being the spearhead against zombies. Where are you? Oh, that's of course. I don't really like fighting at like 10-11 kilometers, it's just the range. So I am going to turn away. It's also not really usual for the zombie fleets to spawn on the same side. How did I think of it? They usually spawn on like opposing ends of the map. That's why you want them to actually spawn with your own zombie fleet. Yeah, I'm going to just prioritize running away for a moment before entering the cap. I have a feeling that would be necessary. Already being focused fire though. And of course I don't have any smoke yet on this ship because it's pretty stock. I can't make these people disengage me. Yeah, I don't have the best of pen either at this range because I'm a light cruiser, of course. I'm just gonna pull and run away until they start to engage somebody else. Luckily it's mostly just my rear that's all been damaged, so angling away won't expose too many other crew compartments. No, I actually should be going in towards them, because again I am not really good at these long range engagements. Instead of running away, I should be going towards them. Let's try that. So we'll turn in again. Because it is the objective to actually get into the cap. But I really don't like being focused fire like this. think it's like 2 cruisers right there
Incrociatore leggero.
shooting me.
Controllo dei danni per riparazione.
And the reason they keep shooting me is because I can't do anything about it. I don't have the firepower to actually stop them from doing it.
Individuato. Incrociatore leggero.
So I somehow have to convince somebody on my team to actually engage them. But I think that probably half of my team isn't even an actual player. It'll probably be difficult. And this is also like a clear difference between what 5-7 matchmaking and 5-3 matchmaking is. Because I was playing 5-3 for 2.5 hours. I was always playing on smaller maps. Usually had down tiers. Play 5-7, up tier to 6-0 open ocean map is not to my not my style.
Timone a mezza nave.
Oh, this is going to just annoy the ever-loving hell out of me. Because it's literally just one guy focus firing me. And I can't do anything about it. Other than hope that somebody will focus fire it for me. Well, I see somebody shooting it for me. That's good. That might actually distract him a bit. So all I can do now is just stay bowing and hope he does not just run me to pieces. Trying to hit his engines, but that's proving difficult. Because I think the angle of my shell just isn't good for trying to hit engines. But I have to shoot him, because he is shooting me. Luckily the Italian cruisers are actually pretty good bow-in. So I'm not that worried about it. But I've already lost a lot of crew to just one guy focus firing me. I'm marking again for my team. I'm just gonna keep him marked. Keep asking people for help. In the cap, so I'm already doing the objective, that's good. Let's try and throw off his shells a little bit by adjusting speed. Keep sneaking around here and there. Things I might need to crossfire those cruisers. Especially that one, for some reason. Fire is fine. Just really want them to sink that cruiser. It's like literally also the only cruiser I'm seeing the south tracers from. Let's start shooting it. Nope, it actually knocked out one of his main gun turrets, thank god. Now instead of being shot by 12 6-inch guns, I get shot by 9 6-inch guns. But I'm already dead. I'm in a crossfire is a problem. I'm being shot by this guy as well. And it seems that the guy that was helping me shoot at this Kalashnikov just stopped. He just hasn't been really doing much. How? What? What is going on here? I want an explanation. Torpedo is because he's actually in torpedo range, but I'm dead. The thing is, this isn't a particular weakness of the Italian cruisers. This is just this map design and these zombies. It is just the state of naval. Luckily I have a backup, which I am going to use because I do have a very big booster running. Oh, now he gets detonated. Now he gets detonated. Yeah. That is Dirty Old Commie. We do not fight him because he is an actual threat. We don't want to piss him off. Hello there, Scott. Thing is, no, I didn't really pay attention to it, but I have seen something different. I know the spawns themselves aren't different. They're just marked different. Again, I haven't actually checked it out on the dev when I saw it pop up on my for the love of God, really now he is going to spam me to death. I should have... You know what? No. No, he's going to get the kill anyway, so I'm going to jail out. I so don't want to give him the kill. Because it's just going to be straight cancers now. Look at it. Fun times. I should not have spawned down here. I did say that when I actually spawned down here the first time. I should have spawned all the way down here, so I'm not just target number one. The thing is, these aren't bad guns, but they're not good enough against these targets at these ranges. Yep, he has changed target because he sees a bow in target and realizes he can't kill it. Thank God. The thing is, that's not a name bot, that's an actual player. I know that's an actual player. I've seen that name before and I know it's a threat. And then he plays these Russian cruisers a lot. But he did the smart thing. He saw it. This is something that works on players, is you just go bow in and don't shoot them. The important part is do not shoot them, because if you shoot them, they'll continuously see you as a threat. You go bow in to make it yourself a difficult target, you stop shooting them, if you can. And they'll usually swap targets. Which luckily he did. After giving me a good old paddling first though, of course. Those are his secondaries opening up on me. His main guns. None of these targets are good targets for me, man. Is there anything closer? No. 7.5 kilometers isn't that far away from me, but I can't... The thing is, I cannot now get into the cap, because if I show my side to that Russian cruiser, I am going to be in pain. Although I might try now that he's distracted. Faro, is it you shooting at me? Am I seeing it correctly? Yeah, that's right, I thought. You weren't shooting at me, of course you wouldn't be. But yeah, these are all annoying cruisers to deal with. Again, ideally, if I were in this cruiser, I'd want to get as close as possible. Also, I'm going to switch off my secondaries because I do not want to draw the attention of that Russian cruiser player. Okay, we're in the cap. We go bow in to our original threat. And we should be fine. For the time being. Yeah, this match is pretty much over as well, because our team just evaporated.
Posti di combattimento, nemico avvistato.
I could possibly sink this guy.
We need to put more pressure on the enemy. They're winning.
Yes. I'm doing damage to him. I'm gonna show a bit more broadside. I'll just bow in if dirty old commie thinks shooting me again. Okay, that guy should be sinking now. I might actually get the finishing blow on him. Yes, my first kill this match. Ooh. This was a 300% boosted match. Definitely not crying on the inside, definitely not.
6.000 metri. Diretto. Incrociatore leggero. 160.
Yeah, these kind of ranges, my guns actually have the punching power to do some damage to these cruisers. Now the problem is, with each and every cruiser they sink, the more likely I am to become the next target. Good shotgun detonation. I'm already happy. The fact that I actually managed to get a kill or two, that's good enough for me. And here it comes. Here it comes. Go by win again, please. Yeah, I'm the closest target to him. I think I cannot make him stop shooting me. All I can do is just go bow in and fire back. He's actually, hold on, he's really low. I can possibly sink him. Come on. He should be sinking now. At 4% crew, he should be sinking. I'm going to... I have not enough crew. He shouldn't have. He's not having enough crew either. He's going down. There we go. He didn't get the kill. And I should get the kill on him. Now, what do I spawn? Yes, I got him. I'm going to spawn down south and see what I can do. It's just going to be... The game's over. I already know the result of this game. But I'm just going to try and squeeze out a bit more RP, a bit more damage. And a ship that doesn't have AP shells yet. Yikes.
Bersaglio colpito.
Any damage I can do. And there we go. Well, better than I started it with, really. I'm satisfied with the respawn I did in the Savoia. Was I top of the team? Excuse me. I was top of the team. Also, Faro, very good sport, trying not to focus me. I'm very happy with that. Thank you. I do think you are listening. And if you are, thank you very much for not focusing me and actually salvaging that booster. But yeah, that's good. Improved rangefinder is probably the best choice next. And then mobility upgrades after that. Hydroplane. Also something I need to get soon. And I think I'm going to leave it at that. I don't really have anything to show. I already kind of showed, I already played what I really wanted to play this stream, the 5-3s, and played some other stuff. So, next stream is I hope that the next stream will be the day 1 update stream. I hope, because I really want to get my hands on the French premium ships. And other than that, I'll see you all the next time, I guess. So yeah. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you around.